We've got a very fun show tonight. Let's get this show on the road. Please welcome my guest for this evening, AURORA MAQUI.
Me, right? That's my
Oh,
cue,
I sure
right?
hope it's you. If not, I've made a terrible mistake.
Oh no! I think you made a mistake anyway. I'm gonna be real with you, friend. But yeah, let's do this.
Well, welcome on in, AURORA. Also, folks in chat, I haven't been able to do full audio leveling, so if anything is terribly out of balance, do let me know, but I think I have things where they need to be. Also, Buckets30, thank you so much for the follow. But, AURORA, I'm very much assuming the vast majority of people in chat right now are familiar with you, but just in case, for anyone who might not be, if you could introduce yourself.
Oh, absolutely. My name is AURORA MAQUI. I am your local android overlord. Please bow down and thank you.
Yes, and we're going to be getting into Project Overlord for you with your 2.0 debut in 1 week. Like 1 week from today, both you and I are going to be quite busy, AURORA, because you'll be in your 2.0 debut. I will be running my 3rd anniversary charity marathon. You know, one of the great things about the VTuber community right now is obviously there's so many people, there's so much going on. Every weekend there's a debut, every weekend there's an event. That overlap happens. It's inevitable. I see that as that is a good sign. That means that VTubing is thriving. And one thing I like about the VTubing community is we celebrate a lot. That I feel like average facecam streamers, you know, they don't get to do debuts, they don't get to do model updates, they don't get to do those types of extra fun celebrations and such. That some folks will celebrate their birthday or their streaming anniversary, but I feel like the VTubing community is perhaps more festive. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that, and I'm really excited because I keep seeing a bunch of my friends and, you know, like colleagues and stuff like that that have the same debut as I do, and I'm just like so excited. I'm like, we're like VTuber debut buddies, and I don't know, it's just really cool to see everybody get along and celebrate one another. So I have to agree, it's just like it's a wonderful thing, and yeah. I'm excited.
How long have you been planning it? I suppose taking it a half step backward, at what point did you say, okay, I want to start planning a 2.0?
So this is actually, funny enough, tomorrow is my VTuber anniversary. So it'll be my 1 year anniversary tomorrow. And I wanted to plan my 2.0 debut, a year after I debuted in general as a VTuber. So it's just kind of a revamp, because when I got this model, while I'm very privileged because I did have funds to start off with such a immaculate, impressive model, it wasn't 100% all that I could put into it. And so I saved my pennies and I went back to my same papas. The art is done by the same two people, Arden and Ars. And yeah, I was like, hey, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this like full throttle. We're gonna get new movement, we're gonna get new toggles, we're gonna change the hair, but we're also gonna keep the old hair. We're just gonna go like, you know, we're just gonna go crazy with it, and I'm really excited. So, I don't know, I feel like there's so many levels to VTubing, especially when you're talking about becoming who you want to be as a creator. And I know I've only been doing this for a year, but that year meant something to me. You know, it kind of changed the game. How I view myself, how I view my community, how I view this as a career. So I was like, okay, it's time for an update.
Yeah, absolutely. That, like I mentioned, I'll be having my 3rd anniversary next weekend as well. My original anniversary is the 15th of January, that I always put my event on the weekend closest to it. And that I'm familiar with, you know, you, even if you want to start off right and put a good foot forward, that generally speaking, and it's pretty common knowledge or common advice, I would say, at this point in time of, all right, if you're looking to start VTubing, don't go all in right off the bat. Just, you don't know if you're necessarily going to enjoy it, you don't know what will necessarily be your style, that you need some time to actually create content and figure out what is right for you. And that, you know, some people will start with a stock model or even a PNG, and obviously you went a little bit extra compared to most for the first iteration, but even then, that you said that you could have done more, and that you decided to say, all right, I'm going to do sort of, I don't want to say half measure necessarily, but that you were going to be cautious and practical with how you were starting. and that now that you have settled in, it's been a year, it's clear that this is something you love and that quite frankly, you've been quite successful at. And now you're saying, all right, I'm ready to really invest. I'm ready to go that extra mile. And that for me, it's never really been a lot of assets, but that my setup, the things that you don't see on my end, have improved a lot. That I've said for about 3 years now that VTuber Talk, at least visually, is held together with cardboard and duct tape. All of the assets you see on screen are free downloads, really simple things, because for a talk show, visuals, as long as the guest looks and sounds good, that I always want my guest to look as good as possible. But that for VTuber Talk's overall set, so to speak, that there hasn't been much of a need for it to be too fancy. But what I have done over the years is I've upgraded my microphone, I've upgraded my computer, make sure that the things on the back end can look smoother and just operate smoother. So I've had those types of upgrades, and I bought that logo up at the top of the screen after 1 year. I got the intro song that you heard at the top of the show for my 2nd anniversary. I do have things planned for the 3rd. I won't talk about those just yet, but I've got some fun things for next weekend too. Let's just say that.
Well, congratulations! Happy anniversary!
Yes, and to you as well. And you mentioned that yours is actually tomorrow, so...
Yeah, a couple hours.
What were you feeling a year ago right now?
Oh God, nervous? Oh my God, I'm an emotional person, so if I cry, I'm so sorry. What was I feeling? Overwhelmed, maybe? And I mean that in a good way, because my community has always been from the get-go really powerful, and when I mean powerful, they just give. My community is a bunch of givers. They just absolutely, they're so full of love and they're so kind. And I know you saw the craziness today, and like that's just us. That what you literally walked into was me and my family just bullshitting. Yeah, and it's kind of
That's how you want it to be.
That's the best. Yeah. It's exactly what you want it to be. But and it's funny because I talk about this all the time. I talk about the word privilege a lot, and I talk about the word lucky a lot because I was both of those things when I entered this community. And thank you very much mentioning that, I'm doing really well for my first year, and I really owe it all to them. So how I was feeling, I was nervous, I was scared because on this debut, I had already met so many people that were already supporting me behind the scenes. There's people who helped me buy a PC. There's just like tons of people doing things that they didn't have to do, Their name wasn't anywhere. It didn't mean anything. They just wanted to help somebody. And so I went into this like feeling just so lucky, blessed, and nervous, scared, Well,
I think that's a very fair reaction, that most people are going to be nervous on the day before their debut, and that it's nice that you were actually able to enter in. I suppose even if you were nervous, that you probably had some level of, reassurance that, like you said, you already had met so many people, that you had already had a lot of support, and that I think it's really cool that you were able to actually end up with yourself in that type of situation. That I'm also someone who very much appreciates the distinction of privilege, luck, and hard work. And I feel like that's something that you appreciate a lot of. Just luck is real, but I'm a big fan of the phrase make your own luck, and that you can create situations and opportunities where you are much more likely to be lucky if you have put in that work and that effort to create good situations. That goodness knows I am one of the luckiest flippin' people that I know, and that I've had some absurd opportunities over the past couple years, and that part of it is just raw circumstance, right place, right time. But I'll take a little 100%. Bit of credit of I put myself in the places and times for it to be the right place and the right time, and I feel like you've done that a lot as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think what it comes down to is because there's like a lot of people allow, I guess, their fear to set in for those who do have the privilege to start something like this, whether it be for a hobby or a career. A lot of people don't because of that fear, and I'm just like not that type of person. No. I'm like, fuck it, we ball.
I'm very much of the belief that if you are polite and professional, usually the worst someone will do is say no to a request. And if somebody says no to a request, and that's fine. That's no skin off your back. It's probably no skin off theirs either. But that, like you said, not being too nervous, that it's fine and human to be nervous, but to not let nervousness stop you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You know, we were talking before about my model and like having the privilege to start where I did, and it's because I had a good job back in the day before I went full time. Is I had a good job, so I was able to buy things like this. And then, shit happened. I lost my job, and then I ended up staring at this expensive model and no PC, and just being like, what the actual shit am I gonna do? And yeah, I just picked up my cell phone, picked up my iPad, and I started streaming. It was what it was.
Know that I started VTuber Talk on a laptop. It was a MacBook, not even a good laptop.
Oh god!
That's actually one of the other reasons.
MacBook.
That's one of the other reasons that my setup and assets are so basic, because I knew I couldn't have any like fancy animated stuff. I was like, okay, if I'm gonna stream, I can't be doing gameplay and running OBS or Streamlabs, which I used for like the first 6 months, then transitioned over to OBS. But a part of it being so minimalistic was necessity at the beginning, and then, like I mentioned, upgrading over time, and now I'm able to run much, much more than what I have. And but there's those different paths and those different circumstances, and that for you, I'm guessing that over the past year, you've probably had little tweaks and upgrades here and there. Was there any particular thing that you recall, all right, this was the first thing that I improved or got something new on?
Oh god. Easy.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
My
Cowgirl
PC.
Bessie, welcome on in,
Whoa!
Raiders.
Hey yo! Can I sing my Raider song?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hello Raiders, hello. Hello Raiders, hello. Aw, that's so sweet. Hi Raiders, hi.
Oh, Bessie, thank you so much for the raid. I actually know Bessie was celebrating her 3rd anniversary today. So happy anniversary to you, and welcome on in, Raiders. I'm Jay. This is VTuber Talk. I'm talking with AURORA MAQUI today, and I know you did just do your intro a little bit ago, but we have a lot of new people in, so if you could do that once more for us.
Sure. By the way, shout out to Cowgirl. Oh my god, girl, happy anniversary! It's girl? I'm so sorry. I'm taking a guess here. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to assume gender. But yeah. Hi. My name is AURORA MAQUI. I am your android overlord. Please bow down. Thank you.
Yes, so, and Bessie I had on a while back. She was episode 98? I'm pretty sure it was 98.
Wow.
And we are here on episode 137. So, yeah, that's one of the fun things for me, just seeing folks stop by. So, again, thank you so much, Bessie. AURORA, I had just been asking, do you recall the first thing that you upgraded? Because obviously you have a lot of upgrades on the way, but I have to imagine over the past year that there's probably been a couple tweaks here and there.
Oh gosh. So, like I mentioned before, I started with an iPhone and an iPad. That was the first 2 things I had streaming.
Yeah.
That's how I streamed. I used to just screen record and go live. Not a lot of people know that, but that's how I used to do it.
Hey, you make it work.
Yeah, so the first major update I got was an actual PC. So I had a bunch of my community come together, and they chipped together. It's about like 10 people, and they bought me my PC. So they bought every single part for my PC and just like gave it to me. That's the biggest upgrade I think I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm talking the works. I'm talking they got my keyboard, my mouse, my mic. I had 2 screens, my entire setup, which is gorgeous. My desk, my chair. They were like, oh, you're going to become a streamer. Here you go. Very lucky. I got very, very lucky, and it means the world to me. Those people who did that for me, I call them my OGs. All their names are actually inside of my PC, and it'll always be there just to remind me. Yeah,
so cool.
Just to remind me.
How many names is that?
So there's 10 names, and we call them the OGs.
Mm-hmm.
They're the people who found me before I made this a career, and they're always going to be in my hearts. They really went above and beyond, and they still do every day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I'm trying not to cry. Oh my god.
No. The tears are for next weekend.
Yeah, next. Oh gosh, I'm scared.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, all right. I feel like people have to start a betting pool over/under on number of minutes into the stream that they are going to make you cry, because I say this with nothing but love, Aurora. I feel like it's inevitable.
It is. They actually, okay, yesterday I was just streaming just normal everyday stream, just playing a little game, hanging out with chat, and they just all decided as a unit. They were like, okay, everybody, we're gonna say nice things to Aurora. Made me cry in like 5 minutes. Everybody was so nice, and I'm like, this is not okay. I was like, I'm getting off. I can't handle you people.
It's weird how time flies, and yet it's one of those things where sometimes things feel very slow, and then you sort of blink and look back and it's like, whoa, it's actually been that long? I
know.
And you mentioned that you feel that you sort of got here a bit later, and just one thing that I feel is we are still in the Wild West of VTubing, that it feels like VTubing has been around for a while. I point to the beginning of VTubing as something that is accessible at 2019. That, you know, if you want to rewind the clock, say, all right, when was the very first VTuber? 2016-ish. But then you need $10,000 mocap rigs, very special, expensive equipment. And I feel like it became more accessible, lower barrier to entry around 2019. And that, all right, we're now in 2024. By the way, this is actually the first show of 2024 for VTuber Talk.
Oh, hell yeah, let's go.
And that, all right, so this would be sort of year 5. And that sounds like a long time, but you think about so many other things, just how long streaming has been around, how long a lot of other stuff has been around. We're going to look back in another 5 years and say, oh man, 5 years ago, that was still when things were really crazy, when they were just getting established. And I feel like even if you discovered VTubers today, that you're still, maybe not in on the ground floor, but you're in on the second or third floor. We're still early.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, you know, I think there was VTubers, and, you know, we had Iron Mouse, and, you know, 2020 came around, and people were just looking for things to do, and, you know, VTubing had that big boom, and it's an impressive thing to watch happen, and it keeps getting upgraded every day. The things that, you know, model makers can do, the things that artists can do, is just phenomenal. Because my entire career is on the backs of artists. And that's something really important to understand. You know, I couldn't do what I do right now without that artistry and all the hard work that they went to learn. I don't know if you've ever seen how someone makes a model, but it is insane.
Oh, it's witchcraft.
Yeah.
It's actual magic.
It's insane. It's not something I could ever wrap my head around, which is why I commission. But it's just so beautiful to see, and I completely agree with that. I always equate the same thing to like K-pop. You know, there's a K-pop layer. You know, first generation, second generation, third generation, boom, and that boom, you know, touched the world. And I think we just got a little boom with Iron Mouse's, you know, streamer of the year, you know?
Yeah.
That right there, that broke a ceiling.
That was a big deal.
And people are talking about what's a VTuber, what's that. And, you know, we also have different platforms. I didn't start off on Twitch.
No, you didn't. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen.
Not. Yeah.
Usually I have a Twitch URL in the bottom left corner, and I've had YouTube URLs in that spot before. This is the first time it's been a TikTok URL.
That's so epic! I love it. Yeah, no, I started on TikTok, and there's so many like I hate using the word follower because it's so stupid, but like there's a lot of community members that when they found me on TikTok had no idea what a VTuber was. They used to just come in and be like, "Oh, it's the anime girl," and because it was so small on TikTok, especially with the live streamers, I think that's also a place where a lot of people were like, oh my god, this is a thing, this is possible, what is this? I want to know more.
Yeah, and that for you, I talk about being in on the ground floor or something. You were in on the ground floor for TikTok live streaming. That you were part of their initial creator outreach program, that if memory serves, you were specifically invited to participate in what was really a technical beta, and that you were part of giving a lot of early rounds of feedback, and that even now that it's still a very small proportion of VTubers that stream on TikTok, but that you have very much made that your primary, and that I always use that left URL spot for what is my guess primary streaming platform, and that if you look in the channel panels, there is a Twitch link, there are other social links there, but I always put that where can people find the guests most reliably, and for you it's TikTok. And I'm curious, I guess starting from a technical standpoint, is there anything significant that is different about TikTok that other than, all right, you have a different stream key for that, is it something very easy to set up in OBS, or are there more technicalities? I genuinely do not know.
So, TikTok actually started with a stream key, and it's still something that some people do today. However, they actually have their own platform. It is their own streaming.
So they have their own.
Yeah. It's a TikTok studio kind of thing. It's the same thing as like Streamlabs or something like that. And the hardest difference I think is that they're still working on it. So we can't really do much.
It's always difficult when you're developing a proprietary platform.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a while to catch up, especially when you're trying to catch up to something as sophisticated as OBS. So not surprised to hear that, but also it's interesting. I'm kind of also not surprised to hear that they're going that route, because goodness knows TikTok has a lot of funding, and that their platform being more unique than most other streaming platforms right now, it does make sense that they would probably want to develop their own tool set, and also just the integration probably technically makes things a lot easier to manage. So that's really neat.
Yeah, it is really cool. I mean, it's awesome because I can stream in any way, it could be vertical, it could be horizontal. I can do it at the same time, where when people are watching, it could be vertical. If they wanted to go horizontal, they can. It's just really enjoyable to be on there. I think the visibility is a lot easier than Twitch. And don't get me wrong, I love my Twitch family. They're awesome. We've been through a lot together, and it's just the visibility on TikTok is unbeatable. You can meet a new person every single day, and that's not the same thing on Twitch. It's just not.
Yeah, and that's been something that's been said about Twitch for a while, that the visibility is not the best. And it's something that I think they've been working on. I don't think that they've quite cracked that code yet, but I fully believe you that visibility on TikTok is probably a lot easier, and especially right now with the past few years has been the TikTok boom. And to have that then overlap with the VTuber boom, as it were, that has to have been very nice, frankly, to sort of have those two go hand in hand as it was.
Yeah, no, seriously, it was really cool. And I've met some amazing VTubers because of TikTok, There are a lot of VTubers that don't stream on Twitch, and they're in a completely different world. Like one of my favorite streamers, do you mind if I shout him out?
Oh, please, by all means.
Awesome. Yeah, one of my favorite streamers on TikTok is Reading. It's REEDING, Reading. His voice is so calm, and all he does is he plays really chill, vibey games, and he likes to make people feel really comfortable. And it's so aggravating to watch his channel and him not get the recognition that he deserves. Because I'm like, oh my god, if this was on Twitch, this would be blowing the fuck up. But it's on. He prefers TikTok, I believe. So it's interesting. So as much as he gets visibility, because he doesn't have both platforms, I think it's a little more difficult to catch the VTuber, fandom.
Yeah.
IMO.
By the way, I'm not sure if I mentioned swearing is allowed. You're fine.
Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, the rating of VTuber Talk slides entirely based on the guest. Like I said, I've had adult content creators, I've had Super Say-So streamers, I've had someone whose actual brand was Chaotic Swear Bunny. You're probably actually not going to be the most profane person I've had on this show.
I mean, we could try.
Challenge is thrown.
We won't. We'll be good. We'll be good. We'll be half good. Yeah.
But it's really interesting for me, just as someone who is primarily a viewer, to see these different platforms develop, and that I think what we're probably going to see in 2024, as we embark upon the year, everyone's talking about resolutions and what they think is going to be happening this year. I think we're going to see a lot more VTubers going to TikTok now. That I think that you, along with others, sort of acting as that vanguard, and one, just making people aware that not everybody is aware that you can do streaming on TikTok if you're not already in that community. That I don't watch a lot of TikToks that if someone sends me a link for a specific video, I'm going to watch it, but that it's not something I scroll on the regular. And as a result, it's just a bit of a blind spot for me, admittedly. But I feel like I need to start at least poking around on TikTok a couple times a week, because who knows the amazing folks that I might be missing out on, people that I might want to ask to be on the show. That if you hadn't been on Twitch, I probably would have missed you entirely.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Also, it's kind of interesting too, because TikTok is a short form content space. At least that's how they started
that's
off.
The primary.
I am not a short form creator. Like, if you go on my main page on TikTok, I post here and there, and I don't really have a lot of great videos. It's not my thing. My section on TikTok is live streaming, and people always get like astonished by that. They're just like, wait, don't they go hand in hand? And I'm like, yes,
they can,
but also no. Yeah, they can, but no, it's something that I have to get into, I think. But I don't know, I just enjoy the live stream. I'm in this game, this is my career, because I like talking to people. And short form content, as much as it does connect you to the world, it doesn't connect me as often as I would like it to, the way live streaming does. So I dedicate, like, my chat is trying to make me cry right now. Oh my god! Stop it, please! So I work very hard to stream a lot, and that's, like, very shocking. I get that all the time. People are like, you stream so much! What the hell? And I'm like, because that's what I want to do. And it's interesting, because I don't think my schedule is larger than any of my counterparts. It's just, you don't see what they do behind scenes. After they finish live streaming, they're probably working for 5 hours editing a video, making content, talking to creators. I, on the other hand, I'm more so streaming. So it's interesting, because a lot of people are like, you're such a hard worker. And I'm like, we all are. We just do different things.
If
you know what I mean?
going to make content creation work as a full-time job, content creation period, it doesn't matter what type, you're doing a lot of work, and you're doing a lot of it behind the scenes. That I am not a full-time content creator. VTuber Talk is very much a passion project. I'm fortunate enough to have a really nice day job that helps pay the bills and everything, but I enjoy being a hobby streamer, and that I am very much aware, because I put in certainly a non-zero amount of work behind the scenes, and I can only imagine the magnitudes that you and other full-time content creators put in, because I've been fortunate enough to do this for about 3 years now, and that I'd like to think I have a better idea than the average person of how much goes in behind the scenes for full-time content creation, but I fully recognize that I don't have a full understanding of it, because you have to actually do it to understand the work that goes in, and that, at least from what I hear and from people that I very much trust, I know there's a lot that goes in.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's it's intense, but I love every second. I wouldn't want to do anything else, And that's, I think, if you don't... What is it? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and that's 100% what my life now feels like. Because I came from corporate job. I came from fintech before I started VTubing, so I get that. I know what it feels like to be in that world. I was in that world for a majority of my life, and to be on this side, I'm like, damn. And that's why I encourage so many people. Like, my goal at the end of all of this is to recreate what kind of happened to me for other people. I got so lucky that a team of people just decided to help me, and they gave me a chance that I wouldn't have had without them. So that's, like, my main goal. Like, when I have the funds, I want to start helping other creators, whether that be a VTuber or whatever. I don't really care. I just want to help other creators get that moment, just have that chance, because being on this side of creating whatever you want, if that's your dream, is just absolutely phenomenal. And it's just something that there's a lot of people in this world that they just don't have the privilege. There's people out there, they have a 9-to-5 job, they might have kids, they just might not have the funds to be able to buy something such as a PC. Fuck, I know some people who don't have cell phones that could work with a model, So just being able to, like, look at someone and be like, what do you need to do this because I want to do that for you.
Yeah,
big dream.
The dream for VTuber Talk is that one day maybe it gets to be big enough that I can approach people and say, hey, I'd love to have you on my show. I'd love to get more eyes on your content. I fully recognize I am very, very small. I've been absurdly fortunate to have so many incredible guests on it. People taking time out of their days, time out of their lives. That time is money is a very real thing, and time is valuable. And that people have been so generous with their time for me, and that I hope, and I recognize I am 99% of the time, in terms of at least metrics, smaller than my guests. And I hope to one day, maybe be able to grow to be bigger and be able to invite folks on and be able to say, hey, I hope to be able to get a lot more eyes on your stuff, because frankly, I can't really do that now. And so I'm very grateful again that you took time out of your very busy schedule to be here.
That's okay. I was excited about it.
But you mentioned fintech and that you've been open about that. Prior to VTubing, you were in fintech and marketing. And I'm curious, were there any skills from that part of your life that transferred over to VTubing, whether they were ones that you did or didn't expect?
Oh gosh, I feel like my entire life set me up for this. I was talking to my mom. So I recently moved back to New York City because I lived in California for my job. California, that's where the marketing, that's where the fintech is. So I was in California, and again, another opportunity I got. I was like, hey, I'm full time as a VTuber, so I went full time in 3 months. And I know people look at me like, the fuck? I'm like, yes. So I went full time in 3 months. I was able to survive in LA, and not just survive, like live. I was able to live fully, making almost as much as I did in fintech. And I looked around and I was like, why the fuck am I still here? My family is literally across the United States. All my friends are across the United States. I'm going over there.
Yeah, plus
I'm going to...
neither LA nor New York City are going to be cheap, but frankly, I think LA is more expensive than New York anyway. So
absolutely.
So if you're paying more to be farther from the folks that you love, no, don't. Let's just not.
Yeah, that's exactly what was happening. So I was like, fuck that. So I came back home and I was talking to my mom. I took I didn't take off, but I took away my schedule and I just kind of streamed when I could. It affected me a little bit, but no big deal. Anyways, on the question, I was talking to my mom and she was like, you built your whole life for this moment. And I was like, the fuck you talking about, lady? And she was like, everything you've ever done. And she's going down this list. She was like, you worked, you were a manager for a store, then you ended up finding marketing from that, then you did this, you're a cosplayer, you worked for a magazine, all these things. I was also an interviewer for a very long time for cosplayers. That's information people don't really know. I also interviewed voice actors at cons, so I did that for years. Anyways, so all of those little things, including fintech and marketing, especially when it comes to, I feel like my job in fintech gave me the last puzzle piece, which is hilarious because it was the last job I had. It made me understand what a schedule looks like, maintaining things on my own, and being able to, force myself to write everything down, make a schedule, push myself, go my limits. Because when you're working in fintech, you're most likely working for a startup. And if you want to make fintech money, you literally have to maintain yourself and compete with everybody around you. And that drive that they gave me is exactly what I do with myself every day. I look in the mirror and I'm like, one step further. And that's absolutely what I got from that. So I think my whole life set me up for being exactly what I wanted to be. And I feel so, I feel so lucky for that.
Yeah, it's sort of funny how, just like you said, sort of your life experiences can end up setting you up for success in different things, and that this is another part of slightly luck, slightly work, because obviously if you have certain interests, that there's probably going to be some sort of consistency, some linearity to the things that you have interest in. And as a result, the skills in those things that you're interested in are more likely than not, I suppose, to end up having some sort of relation to each other. And that happens a lot, but it's always really fun to see when it just clicks. And you mentioned fintech being sort of that last piece, and then things falling into your lap. And certainly in a way that was not expected, and in the moment, not exactly thrilling being laid off, but that you then sort of realized, wait, I have all these pieces, and I have this interest. I could do that.
Yeah. It was one of the scariest moments. Like, imagine just like sitting in your little fancy LA apartment in the middle of downtown, and you're feeling like big shit because you have like a nice job and you just bought a new nice car, and then you get laid off, and then your papa gives you your model 3 days later, and you're just staring at this VTuber model, being like, damn, I could use that money. I got rent due. I don't know what to do. It's a phenomenon, and I don't know. It blows my mind every single time I think about it. Every time I talk about it, just it is a puzzle piece. Everything just fell where they needed to fall, and I don't know what I did in my life before to deserve that type of greatness. But here we are.
But like, again, I see a lot of sort of parallels with my own life, that VTuber Talk wasn't an entire accident, that the first time that I ever hosted, anything, I was the MC for my elementary school talent show in the 3rd grade.
Oh.
Like, this goes far back, and obviously that's not interviewing, but that I've always been someone who has been comfortable on a stage, and that over the years, I went to school for marketing, and that I enjoy just, nerdy content first and foremost, but also coordination. That prior to 2020, I had been doing a lot of things at conventions. I still do them now, but what wasn't happening in 2020 and 2021? Events and conventions.
Oh, yeah! we were not great out there, yeah.
I was bored. I had too much time on my hands, and just, I wanted to use that coordinator, organizer, event runner muscle that had been languishing for a year at that point in time. And I saw another talk show. It was run by a guy named Gary Whitta, who's actually a Hollywood writer, mostly known for Book of Eli and Star Wars Rogue One. But he hosted a talk show in Animal Crossing, and he called it Animal Talking. And it became appointment viewing for me. And when
so cute.
It was adorable. And actually, thinking about it, he may have been the first VTuber talk show, because technically, I consider a VTuber as anyone using a digital model of any sort. That includes PNGs. And if you're using your Animal Crossing model, he was technically a VTuber. I don't think he knows what VTubers are, but he was a VTuber and didn't know it.
Someone tweet that man right now. Be like, bro, did you know you were a VTuber?
But
that's great.
When that show stopped airing because he got busy with other work, it was about a month or two afterwards that I discovered VTubers. So talk shows were top of mind for me. I was like, I could do that. I think I could do that.
Hell yeah! Yeah, you can. You're doing it.
But you mentioned that you interviewed cosplayers and VAs, and I did not know that. And it's very rare that I get someone with interview experience on my show. So from one interviewer to another, were there any particular skills that you learned there when it comes to interviewing? That certainly, I know I'm not a perfect interviewer. I'm always looking for tips. Like, what have you found in interviewing works particularly well? Is there any type of either style or tactics that you developed over the time?
So I think I've always been like a decent talker. I communicate well with most people.
Can confirm,
I can have
yes.
conversation. Yeah, I can confirm. I can just talk to anybody, really. It just goes with the flow. People always get, especially in collabs, people are always like, "Whoa, you turn on very easily." And I, even when we kind of did our little meeting, I was like, "Listen, I promise you that when we get into this, I will turn on. Today's just not that day." I honestly feel like the best way to interview is to make sure that you understand the person across from you is a human. And I think those are the best interviewers. The person that looks at the person that they're interviewing and being like, oh, this is a human. I'm not looking for, the scoop. I don't need, the chisme, which is like, I don't need the rumors. I don't need the gossip.
Yeah.
I just want to know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and that's, you ever look like Oprah? Oprah gets anybody to say anything because A, she's Oprah, but B, it's because she looks at them and she speaks to them as if, you're hanging out with your mom or your best friend. And I think that's really how it worked for me. And that's what I got from interviewing cosplayers, because I got very lucky. Like, I interviewed some heavy hitters, and I don't want to say it out loud here because that could dox me. You can just literally look up. They'll find me. They'll find me. But, so, yeah, I was able to meet these incredible creators. Heavy hitters, not only in anime, like voice acting, but also cosplay royalty. And, you get a little nervous, especially when they have rules, Oh, you can't wear this, you have to look this way, they don't want this question, and blah, 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 blah. Yep. So I eventually just figured out, okay, I need to just treat this person like a homie. I need to sit down, and they're my best friend today, and it worked. And I took that, because I get people who ask all the time, how do you get so comfortable being a streamer? How do you do that? How can you stream for 8 hours and keep on talking? I just learned. I just did it. There's no advice for that. You'll figure it. You'll figure out the way it works for you.
It is a learned and practiced skill that certainly.
Absolutely.
I know I am a better interviewer by magnitudes than I was in episode 1. It's not even close. That this is something that, even though I felt very confident going in, that I wasn't starting from zero when I started VTuber Talk, but goodness knows, 137 episodes, I can feel and tell just the way that I operate things, the way that my mind works, and the questions that I ask, and the way that things flow. I've gotten so much better over the past 3 years, and that's just with any skill. Practice is going to... I don't like practice makes perfect. Practice makes habits. And that if you do good practices, you will create good habits. If you practice bad things, you will create bad habits. And that's for anything, whether it be, if you're doing weightlifting and you have bad practice habits, practice won't make perfect with weightlifting. You're actually going to do damage if you practice bad habits in weightlifting or something like that. And that you need to be able to figure out what works, and sometimes what works for others won't work for you, but learning and tweaking things while also saying, all right, once I've found something that I think works, let's keep at that. Let's hone that, and that even if it's not necessarily a huge jump day over day, that you can notice over weeks and months and years looking back, holy cow, I've gotten better at this. And that's for any skill. That I'm sure that over your even 1 year of VTubing, I'm sure you're much, much better now than you were a year ago.
Oh, absolutely! Oh my god! I recently went to look at some of my old clips.
Oh god, looking
at
I
was like,
clips is rough.
Damn,
it's always rough.
Damn, I am not good at this. I think what started to happen, I hate watching myself, and that's bad. As a creator, you should always be watching yourself. You should always make it a habit that right after your stream, you should watch it. If you have the time, you should have it on the background. You should listen to it. You should see how you communicate. You should know how fast you're talking. You just need to know what's happening. Because if you can't stand the content that you're watching, how the fuck do you think people are going to stand? Yeah, no one's going to like it. If you're sitting there and you're bored watching your own stream, it's time to revamp. It's time to switch it up. It's trying to figure out what did you not like about what was happening in the room at the time. So, yeah, live and let live, right?
Yes, indeed, and live and learn. Not just from Sonic Adventure 2.
No.
Sorry, that was a deep cut. So, when it comes to media, that obviously VTubing is a big part of your life, but naturally you have a lot of interests outside VTubing, and I know that your favorite anime of all time is Yu Yu Hakusho. And Yu Yu Hakusho is something that I've been aware of, obviously, since I was very young, that I didn't watch a lot. I saw a couple episodes here and there on Toonami back in the day, but it wasn't something that I watched through all of the Dark Tournament arc, but I know what the Dark Tournament arc is. But I did watch the live action recently because, right, it's easier to watch a 5-hour thing than however many hours the full thing was. For me, as someone who was largely unfamiliar with Yu Yu Hakusho, I thought the live action was fine, like 6 out of 10. Like, it was a fun watch. The action was fine. It was a Japanese production, not a Hollywood production, that there's going to be different sensibilities in adaptations and live action for Hollywood versus a Japanese production. But as someone who was very much into Yu Yu Hakusho, I'm curious for your opinions on it. the good, the bad, the
Whoa!
ugly. I'm a bit scared given your
Okay.
initial reaction.
You said this is a 2-hour show, right? I just want to.
I said it's 2 hours or however long you want to go. I'm not the one that's already been streaming for 4 hours today, Aurora. I can go as long as you want.
Oh man, oh god. So I also was working on my music video. Don't tell chat. Before stream, but no. I enjoyed the live action. I was I think the biggest thing that got to me, because I watched it twice. I was sick, so I was able to watch it twice in a row.
If you watched it twice, that must have meant that you liked it at a baseline. And if you absolutely hated it, you probably wouldn't have subjected yourself to it.
I would have cried. You would have seen so many rants. I probably would have went live sick and just... But no, I enjoyed it. I thought they did a very good job. I thought they captured the characters well. I thought they also captured the essence. Like little things, quirky things that the mangaka and the animators were able to capture, such as like the small things that happen in the background, conversations, character connections. I thought they did a great job. The fight scenes, on point, really cool. I think my biggest pet peeve was that they thought the show couldn't do more. And that's my biggest issue.
That's a really interesting phrasing, and I think I know what you mean by it.
Yeah,
I have a couple other friends who have been into Yu Yu Hakusho, and I've talked to them, and like I said, I know what the Dark Tournament arc is. I didn't realize until after I'd watched the show that what I watched was supposed to be the Dark Tournament arc.
Oh god, yeah. Oh well, they combined, Yu Yu Hakusho technically has... We consider it 4 arcs. 4 to 5 arcs, depending if you... one of the arcs sometimes is combined with the first one. So they took the first 2 arcs, and that is what you saw.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Dark Tournament's the second arc, technically.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's really upsetting because I know how good the anime is. I know how great the manga is. It was very upsetting that they looked at it and they said, "Well, we can't do more." Like Yu Yu Hakusho has a musical.
Yeah.
A well-done musical that survived and made so much money. To think that they couldn't capture a global audience by starting with the first arc and going into the Dark Tournament, it just boggled my mind. Maybe they didn't have the money for it, so they were like, okay, do what we can. But I just feel, I feel like they stole a lot of the magic from what could have been, especially when we got, and again, you had mentioned it already, Japanese production versus, like Hollywood. What they did for One Piece is what I wish they would have done for Yu Yu Hakusho. And I would have been A-okay at being Japanese production. They fucking nailed it, man.
Yeah.
They killed it.
Yeah.
They killed it. Perfect. But that's all I wish, and especially because the Dark Tournament, that's anime history right there. No one has ever touched how good that Dark Tournament has ever been.
If you want to talk about tournament arcs and that, it's a thing in anime fandom, that the whole meme of it's a tournament arc, that obviously Yu Yu Hakusho was not the first tournament arc ever, but it is one of the gold standards to this day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no one's been able to replicate that fear, that trauma, that this is literally our lives on the line, and oh, by the way, we're adolescents. Like, it's just... they're not fighting for glory. They're not fighting for money. They're not fighting
this isn't some
the
school
most
tournament.
Powerful. No, this is not cute. This is literally life or death. And not only life or death, it is the lives of everyone they've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rule. Like, if they lose, they lose, everyone they know dies. So the stakes are really high, and you know that when you're watching it. And they make sure you know it when you're watching it. It's beautiful.
I felt like you did get those stakes in the live action, but I'm certain that you're going to get it a lot more. And obviously part of this is just a function of time. That when you have more runtime to work with, you have more time to establish your characters, the world, emotions, and just connection and stakes. That part of why you end up having such a tight bond with these characters is because, you've spent so much time with them and that you know all these things. And I think you're right that the duration for live-action adaptations has varied wildly, that sometimes you get 10 episodes, One Piece was 8, this was 5. It feels like it could have used 8, but it also just in general felt, like you said, that they were worried they couldn't do more, and I think that's probably the state of affairs for a lot of live-action adaptations that were in development prior to the release of One Piece, and I have to assume that Yu Yu Hakusho was in development simultaneously with One Piece, at the very least.
Oh yeah,
and
they had to be somewhere near.
Yeah.
Because they had announced, we knew, like, if you were in, like, the trenches of the Yu Yu Hakusho fandom, we knew one of the actors was definitely in it, because there was, like, a leak.
Ooh.
That's how we found out that it was going to be a live action, because one of the actors, there was leaked, I don't remember what
was
it was,
like, oh yeah, I've been cast in this, oops.
No, it was, I think, someone who worked for him. And it was on, like, a message board in Japan, and it kind of, like, just, like, you know, we found out. So we were like, damn, yeah, this is a real thing. Yeah, you know, I would have just appreciated 2 more episodes dedicated to Genkai. Like, that's all I needed. Just that would have filled the gap for me. Just give the woman 2 more episodes. She deserves more than they gave her.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that episode, and that, frankly, it was one of the slower episodes, but I'm a sucker for character building and world building, and that's what that really was. That, if anything, that I wanted it to be longer because it when she said "you are ready" at the end of the episode, it felt too early. Just because, in terms of real time, it was like, okay, it's only been an hour. I get that we had a montage and it's meant to be a while, but it still felt a bit too fast to me. But,
oh yeah, and you don't even know. You know that orb that she gave him? Spoiler alert! You guys know. Come on, it's been years. The orb that she gives him, there's 2 episodes of this man going through the ringer. I am talking like, death. The man almost dies like 4 times getting that orb. And the fact that they just didn't do anything, they were just like, here you go, all good luck, bye. It was so lackluster, and that was probably the most upsetting scene out of all of them. One was Hiei cutting his own Jagan. That was stupid, because that's not how that was. And then there was, you know, Genkai giving her orb to Yusuke. Those 2 scenes, just, those pissed me off. And I was like, okay, Aurora, don't worry about it, just enjoy it.
That's how it goes with the live-action adaptations, in that certainly I feel like we're about to really enter a new era of live-action adaptations, because obviously One Piece took the world by storm.
Oh, yeah.
They made it work. That I watch that, again, as someone who didn't watch One Piece, so I watch a lot of anime, Aurora. I watch like 10 shows a season, but I'm the type of person who enjoys watching seasonal anime as opposed to run-on shonens. Nothing against run-on shonens, I just enjoy watching, or variety am I watching, that is.
Oh,
so
okay.
I went into One Piece having seen about the first, like, arc or something. Like, I had seen through the Black Cat arc in One Piece back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, the original 4Kids dub. The old
God.
one.
4Kids TV, oh my god.
And so I knew the basics of the characters. I knew what Arlong Park was, even if I hadn't watched the entirety of that arc. But watching One Piece, again, that I really enjoyed that as someone who hadn't known everything, and that I definitely plan to keep up with that, because it's certainly a lot easier to keep up with 8 hours every year or 2, however often they actually release seasons, versus 1,000+ episodes, because it's just a lot.
You're getting a new anime. They
yeah,
just
that's
announced.
true. I actually I might pick that one up, because it's always easier if you start at episode 1 with everyone else and are watching it once a week.
Yeah.
That's easy, as opposed to looking at the daunting backlog mountain of 1,000 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, also we had The Last of Us too, and The Last of Us killed it.
Yeah.
I was so happy to watch that, and I watched that twice as well. Like, that was phenomenal. I was just stunned.
Yeah, you have a really good...
I think so far they're the best adaptation I've ever seen.
And that you have a really good point there, that it's not just for anime, that live-action game adaptations have really stepped up their game in the past couple years, and that I think that because of the success of The Last of Us and One Piece, that we are going to see a lot more getting greenlit, because back in the day, you'd see one every couple of years, because it would usually be, all right, they're trying it again, it doesn't work, and therefore all these other studios are going to be skittish and not want to do something for a while until somebody else is like, all right, maybe it's been long enough, try again and fail, and that we've gone through that cycle for literally decades. It took comic books just as long. They didn't have Iron Man as the first comic book movie. They had their ups and downs, their quirky Batmans, and there were some successes sprinkled among there, but it took Iron Man for comic book movies and comics to become mainstream. And I don't know if One Piece is the Iron Man moment for anime adaptations, but it's certainly the closest that we've gotten. And I think it's going to be interesting to see these next couple years, because then a bit we'll be able to look back and say, was that the Iron Man moment? I hope it was.
Oh my god. I hope it was too, because I need JJK. I need IRL Gojo. I absolutely need that. And I'm kind of nervous though, because if they don't nail it, like, the world will revolt. That will start World War III. Absolutely, no questions asked. But who knows, who knows?
Also, I've missed a couple of follows. Thank you, Valmir, Eterna, Professor Dev 1, and Player 222 for the follows. I actually was going to ask next, if you could choose a series to get adapted, what would you choose? And I guess it would be JJK.
No, yeah, JJK, absolutely, absolutely. I'm also a manga reader too, so I'm caught up with JJK, the manga as well. And yes, I would still like to see the infamous manga panel in 3D. That'd be really cool. Yes. We won't talk about it. Moving on.
I'm a couple episodes behind on the anime, but
you're fine.
I'm
most
of the way
you're
through the Shibuya arc.
yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You're safe now. You're safe now.
Oh gosh, is there a game that you would want to see adapted?
Oh, a video game that's not already had its moment. I mean, I would love to see Final Fantasy. That would
You'll
be really cool.
You'll have to be more specific.
Yeah, I would like to see. I think the one. Okay, so my favorite Final Fantasy is 8. Absolutely, my favorite Final Fantasy of all time. Might be a childhood thing. I don't know. Might be the romance thing. I was really into romance anime when I played Final Fantasy 8. So I would love to see that, because I think it's probably one of the video games that could nail it, because there's a lot of realism. There's a lot of, connection. The story, doesn't really need much craziness to it. I think it would be easy and probably the cheapest one if you're gonna pick a Final Fantasy.
I appreciate that you're
I would
also
absolutely
thinking about it from a production standpoint.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just think it's the best choice. 7 would be too much. We already have a remake. Like, come on, I don't need it. I don't need to see it in live action. I get it. 8 would be phenomenal. Just and you could recreate all of it. All of it, down to what they wear. It's all like normal, everyday clothes. There's cars, gas stations. It's very simple and magical and sci-fi in its own way. And I think it would be a phenomenal recreation.
Thinking back, I'm kind of surprised that they've never attempted a Final Fantasy live-action movie. That I know there was Advent Children, there was Spirits Within. At least, unless I'm forgetting something, there hasn't been a live-action attempt at Final Fantasy.
No, yeah. For the knowledge that I hold, I've never seen that go down, and it would make so much money,
Yeah,
even if it was bad.
That I would have expected that they would have made it like 10, 15 years ago, and that it probably would have failed. But I'm just surprised that they didn't, that it actually hasn't been attempted. It's something that feels so obvious.
Yeah. I mean, now they realize they don't have to go. I feel like back in the day, they felt that they needed to either go to extremes or go very simplistic. There's no middle ground.
Yeah.
And they found that middle ground with One Piece, Their hair is not crazy, but it's still colored correctly and it's still styled correctly, They're not gigantic, but the actor holds that gigantic personality. You're not missing anything from what the actors did. They nailed that part.
That was the big thing of just, all right, Sanji's eyebrow doesn't have the big squiggly, but that everything is styled correctly. Arlong is a large human being, but he's still human being size. He's not the Hulk.
Yeah. But his personality killed it. When I looked at him on screen, that was a scary, large motherfucker.
Commanded the scene.
Yeah, he nailed it. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you find the actors and you work with like the mangaka and the animators, and that's what they did. That's what One Piece did. They even met their voice acting counterparts.
Yeah.
And was like, what makes you you when you're on that screen? And it's incredible because it translates, and that's all we want. We want that translation. That's what we look for when we're or expect when we're watching a live action. So
yeah, and Funny enough, like I said, not being super versed in One Piece, my favorite character was actually one of the characters who had the most changes, and that was Garp. I thought Garp's scenes were great. From what I hear, some fans actually didn't like his stuff as much because apparently it diverges a little bit from the canon. Part of it, I think, is probably because he talks a lot, and surprise, that talk show folk likes characters that talk a lot. And I thought Garp had some really good dialogue, so that was me.
Nice. Yeah, I fell in love with the live-action characters differently than I did, because I don't know, I had a different favorite too. It just mixed it up. Like I've always loved Luffy, but the live-action Luffy, I fell in love with Luffy. Like I was that man. I love Godot, who's the actor.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Slay my whole life.
That Oda said that he couldn't imagine anybody else playing that role, and that I can understand because Luffy is such a shonen protagonist. He is over the top. He is innocent.
Crazy.
And just he's a lovable idiot, but also incredibly smart in other ways, and that it's such
he's insane. Yeah, he's insane. That's his. He is this, like, he portrays like he's loving and blah blah blah, and then you see his trauma, and it comes out when you hurt anyone around him. He turns into this person that he will kill. He will mass murder. He does not give a fuck. Like, you don't want his face to get serious. And the fact that Godoy, like, he nailed that. You just saw it shift. Yeah, he shifted. His face changed. His expressions changed. His movement changed. All of it. And I was like, that's insane that he did that as an actor. Because that's something anime does all the time. But to see someone portray it as well as he did for a main character that so many people know.
There was so much risk of that being over the top in a bad way, and it just reading weird. And the fact that I was watching that and just, it felt human. It felt so human in the best of ways.
It was very human, and it's interesting because even like with all the magic that comes behind it, you know, with like the gum fruit and all that, you don't think about that. I was there. I was like, oh yeah, possible, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, exactly. This was filmed for real. There's nothing, you know. It was so good. I really did enjoy it. So, but not everything's gonna nail it. Yu Yu Hakusho, they did the best they could. I was happy. I enjoyed it. I'm just, could have been worse. Exactly, could have been worse. I think they did a very good job with what they had. I was impressed with a lot of it. It made me fall in love with the series again because I literally binged the Yu Yu Hakusho, the anime, twice before the live action came out. So I knew exactly what was going on.
You had refreshed your memory, so you knew exactly what was going to be different. Would you want to see a second season? Because they wrapped up enough plot points at hand that you could sort of say, all right, that is the end, and it is a satisfying enough conclusion. But they obviously left things open in that there is more content. Do you think, with what they have done so far, that there is enough viable material left for another season and for it to work, and would you want that?
So, unfortunately, there's a scene in the live action that I think might have taken away a lot of significance with the last two arcs, and that's when Hiei with the necklace. Hiei doesn't get. We're unaware of that necklace until the last arc. So that's interesting. When I saw that, I was like, no way. And I don't know if they use that for emphasis.
It could be foreshadowing. It could be them trying to set it up. But...
Yeah. And you know, it's possible to do the third and fourth arc. But I think they would just skip the last arc, and I think that's the thing. I think they kind of were like, okay, well, you know, we're gonna just do the first two arcs. We're gonna see how it works, and then if it works, then we'll do the third arc, which is very large, and it's mostly set in the city again. And it would be very easy to incorporate the same style and the same fighting with the third arc. And the third arc has, I think, you know, I love Toguro. Younger Toguro is a great anti-hero. But Sensui, who is the third arc, is a phenomenal fucking villain. When I tell you this motherfucker, oh my god, yeah, he is vile. He's vile. And without spoiling the anime, he's vile when you meet him. So I think they would do a really good job, I think, if they just focused on one arc and kind of like kept to it, because you also learn a lot about Yusuke in that arc. It makes him a little bit of an anti-hero too, so it's a really good arc. A lot of people say that the Dark Tournament's their favorite, and I agree, but I think the third arc does a lot of justice to the series that a lot of anime is really not capable of doing later on in their show, except something like One Piece, you know.
And hopefully that if they are able to greenlight another season, that they see the success of the first, that they can then say, all right, we've proven ourselves, we can take our time this time.
Yeah, let's get the whole thing, maybe? Maybe? That'd be nice.
Hopefully. But,
yeah, fingers crossed.
Now, I know we could talk Yu Yu Hakusho all day, but I do want to talk a couple other things. But just seriously, I love getting people's opinions of the things that they love, and especially knowing how much you like Yu Yu Hakusho and it being something so recent that I was actually really looking forward to that part tonight. So again, thank you for that. But the other thing I know you're really into, which you have mentioned in passing, is K-pop. And you actually mentioned to me that you met your best friend at a K-pop concert.
I did. Oh, honey, I don't think she's here today. She's gonna be a VTuber. She's gonna debut probably somewhere later in the year. I don't know. But yeah, I met her at a K-pop concert.
Hey, there she is.
Oh, honey! I'm gonna tell our story, babe. So yeah, we met at a K-pop concert, and it's funny because we were both really weary about it. Like, so we were both going to a concert in another country, and I had got in a hotel room because I was like, I'm going whether I have roommates or not. And it was a little expensive, so I kind of posted on a forum, and I was like, hey, anybody want a room with a stranger? Question mark.
That is very brave of you, I guess.
Yeah, so I ended up actually having two roommates that I knew previously from other concerts, and then Hania messaged me and was like, hey, you know, Hania took the same chance I did, and, you know, we met at the airport, and, you know, we got at the airport, and then we got into the hotel, and I kid you not, we're in the hotel, and I'm, like, a little nervous, and you could tell she's a little nervous because I know more people than she does in the room. And, you know, we're all getting settled and blah, blah, blah. And then we all start talking a little bit, and we're at the hotel, and we know that there's a bar downstairs. So we kind of both, like, look at each other, and we're like, drink? And she's just like, drink? And I was like, drink! And we went downstairs, and the rest is fucking history. I think after the first sip of alcohol, that bitch was my best friend. After that day, she also rode on a bus to another state to meet me at a convention. And I was like, this is homie for life. Homie for life.
So cool.
So, yeah. Started with K-pop, though. It did start with K-pop.
Yeah, people that you meet at events, it's not every person you meet, but sometimes the stars align and just those threads of common interest that bring you together, and then you realize, oh, we have a bunch in common past that first thing, or just I really vibe with this person. That for me, going to conventions, just the random people that I have met from the work that I have done, there's a couple folks that have become lifelong friends in what otherwise could have been just the most fleeting of moments. And to see those moments actually become lifelong stories is so special.
Yeah, it's really phenomenal. It's really phenomenal, and we live in the same, like, area now, so it's really cool. I get to see her all the time. Our friendship was, long distance for years. This is the first year that we are in, an area where I can literally see her every weekend if I wanted to.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So yeah, it took a couple of years, but
we got there.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Did you end up going to more concerts together after that?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, we went to so many after that. You know, we ended up, going to a couple of them. We just went to one when I moved back. We have one in March. You know, we didn't change that. We still love K-pop. We love a lot of things, but K-pop definitely is part of our core. And yeah, we even travel all the time. She's my favorite travel person. She's like no bullshit. She like doesn't sleep when we travel. She's just like, let's go, and she's a really good planner. So I'm like, okay, we got this. Yeah, she's the best travel companion too. So it just works, you know. She fills the gaps that I don't have.
In general, for K-pop, that K-pop has really broken into mainstream Western consciousness in, I'd say, the past 4 or 5 years-ish. But for you, I guess, remind me, how long have you been into K-pop? That where is your beginning for K-pop?
Oh God, I definitely a young teenager, about 10 maybe, 10, 11. My first introduction to K-pop, funny enough, if anybody knows the one of the ending songs to Inuyasha is Boa, Every Heart. Every Heart. That's actually sung by a K-pop star. She made the song and they translated it to Japanese, and she re-sung the song for the ending. Yeah, I started listening to her because I love that song, and I found all of her stuff, and I was like, oh shit, she's K-pop. She's actually K-pop. And rabbit hole, when I tell you, rabbit hole. And then I went to SNSD, which most people know them as Girls' Generation, then EXO, and so on and so forth. So I was definitely second, third generation of K-pop, which is you were lucky if they came to America. Some of them even did, but there was no boom over here yet. The boom started, obviously, and unfortunately, with BTS.
Yeah. That's one of the things I was going to ask about, of just the difference in ease of accessibility for concerts, because you mentioned for that first one where you met Hania that you traveled, and that how many of the concerts that you go to nowadays are in the US versus international? Has there been a significant shift for you?
Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. So after I got back into K-pop, because of VIX, who is my favorite K-pop group. They're my bias group, which just means, you know, they're my ultimate, like, love them forever. I have like 3 tattoos of them. I've met them over 16 times. I've been to, I think, 18 of their concerts.
Wow.
I'm obsessive! And okay, so anyways, so after I found my love of K-pop again, I started traveling, and I took like a year and a half off, and all I did was travel to K-pop concerts across the United States and Canada.
Some people go on, you know, cross-continental tours to go to as many countries as they can. Some people I know have visited every baseball stadium in America, and you made yours for K-pop concerts.
Absolutely, yeah, and I don't play games. I was like in it. Like,
no, if you're gonna do it, do it.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. Yeah, so I went heavy, and it was wonderful. I loved it, and I was very excited that all of these idols were able to come to America, and people showed up. They were killing stadiums. Like, they were destroying stadiums. There was lines out the door, people fighting to get in. It was chaos in the most beautiful, beautiful way. You know, like, I waited in line a couple of times over 2 days for certain people, you know, waited in the rain 24 hours.
The full camp out experience then.
Absolutely, almost every single concert. Only a couple of them, if I didn't really care too much about them and I just was like, oh, they're K-pop, let me find out, then I would sit. But if I loved them and I knew who they were, or I had a friend who loved them, like, I was gonna get us in the front. If we were not in the first 2 rows, then why did I buy a ticket? That was like kind of my mentality for a lot of it. and I went like full throttle. So yeah, I loved it. It was so much fun. I was definitely a lot younger, so it was easier. You know, I didn't have a lot of commitments back then. It was easy for me to do these types of things, but
and also just memories. I was gonna say, the memories that you're gonna make of just, I have to imagine that you can recall at least a couple of moments from each of those camp-out times, and probably made friends with the folks directly in front of and behind you in line. That I've never done overnight campouts, but I remember that I lined up very, very early for the release of the Nintendo Wii and for a couple other games and consoles. Never overnight. Like I said, you know, it would be a 3-5 hour wait that I would get there early to make sure, if it was a release day thing where limited stock, and that, well, everyone's there for the same thing. They're all passionate enough to go out of their way and set aside time to be in this line. So you much like at a convention or concert, you already know you have that baseline interest, and that, it's that self-curated group of superfans, so I have a feeling most folks get along pretty well.
Yeah, no, they do. I mean, sometimes. I've had issues. Actually, and it's funny.
Uh-oh.
And, oh my god, I hope they don't kill me. The worst fans that I personally dealt with, this is not all of them, because Hania is also a really big BTS fan, and she's a beautiful human being. As BTS concerts, they're always fighting for the front. Always fighting! Oh, the fighting! I was just like, oh my god, girlies, we are in the rain right now. We are in the rain! Like, why are we fighting? Why? Yeah, it's a bloodbath. That was the scariest concerts. Those were the scariest concerts I've ever been to, if I'm gonna be completely honest.
I think it's sort of, call it the law of numbers in humans, that the larger a group of people, the more likely you're to have a couple people that are not great people, and it's just,
Oh yeah.
You're much more likely to find some bad people amongst 100,000 than 10,000 than 1,000, and goodness knows BTS has a lot of fans, so statistical inevitability, I would say.
Well, actually, it was one of their first ever. They only had 2 albums out when they toured America quite a bit, and that's how they got so much recognition. People are just passionate about those boys. Yeah, they're passionate about them.
I would call them the premier K-pop group in Western consciousness, at least at this point in time.
Absolutely. I don't even consider them really K-pop anymore. I think they started off as K-pop. I think now they're just yeah. They kind of built their own. They carved out their genre, and it's kind of an amazing thing. They created this area of music where they said, hey, why the fuck do I have a K in front of what I do every day? And it's astonishing that they were like, no, I am just pop. I am pop, I am rap, I am global. Stop putting me in a box, because that's not what we're doing here. And it's impressive, and it's crazy, and it's done a lot of things for the musicians that have come after them. So, yeah, I do understand why people love them so much. I'll give them that credit.
Yeah, and that it's so interesting to see that type of growth and that sort of blending and transcendence of going from K-pop to being just something bigger. That one, like you said, it's from their own success that they realized, hey, why bother limiting ourselves? Part of it may have been marketing of, okay, K-pop just as a brand, quote unquote, isn't necessarily the biggest thing in the Western world, but if you were able to just say, this is a pop concert, you're inherently going to get more hits on, everything from search engines to just people paying attention, that there's sadly a proportion of the population that if you say K-pop, they're gonna kind of mentally tune out. And it's the same thing for a lot of niche things, that for some folks that if they don't understand what anime is, if you say anime, they're going to tune out. If you say VTubers to some folks, they're going to tune out. But if you just say streamers, if you just say cartoons, animation, they'll still be on board. That it's only when you put that label that sometimes folks have a negative bias against it. So I can also understand why they would want to fight against that bias and create something for themselves that was just more, I don't want to say generic, but more unbound.
Oh, they did it. And that's the thing. I give them a lot of credit, because I mean the company that they worked for had friends in high places. We'll just put it that way. So they knew what they were doing, and they found the perfect group of people. They found the perfect group of boys, because I don't credit I credit the marketing. Don't get me wrong. I don't even credit their music. I credit them, and that's what made these girls so passionate. I get why people love them so much. If you watch them, you fall in love. You're gonna fall in love. I don't know one person that's ever watched one of their fun videos from back in the day when they're just hanging out and just being dudes and just vibing and being adorable that don't fall in love with them. It's phenomenal. I don't know. They all have that energy, and they just put them all in a room, and magic happens. So good on them.
Yeah. And I feel like you see that in a lot of entertainment, that whether it be boy bands or even just agency VTubers, that part of it is that the management, the talent scouts, are very good at their jobs. And that's part of why when you see these groups put together, that they just click together and that they click with audiences, and that you can see, all right, I understand why people love this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's, I don't know. People just have it, you know? You just look at someone and you just know that they're meant to just be that. And that's what BTS is, you know? They're born for it.
And it's so fun to just, seeing people thrive and do things that they love, and that I'm sure that I can only imagine the trials and tribulations that those boys went through prior to being BTS. That you don't just fall into that. You don't just get found on the street randomly. They probably had to, same thing
Work
with
their asses off, yeah.
Same thing in Western pop. Doesn't really, any music industry, frankly. It doesn't matter if it's orchestral or rap or anything in between, that you need to put in the work. You need to have actually made music, made content, and meet people and figure out how to make your way in that extremely competitive world. And then if you are one of a fraction of a percent lucky, then you get to be big.
And then that's with anything, and it's interesting because it also works in VTubing. You don't get to see what these people went through, and I think Iron Mouse is a perfect example of this. Like, man, she's been around for years.
Oh yeah.
She started with 0 people in a chat room. Then she went to 3, and then she went to 5.
Documentary about Iron Mouse.
Oh, I would love that. Someone's got to be making it. Netflix! Someone's got to be making it. After she won that award, someone is making that, because she...
Seriously, just her story.
Damn, yeah. Yeah, she's been through so much, and half of it, 75% of it, we don't even know.
Yeah. And just that any success story is going to have so much behind it, but also just Iron Mouse in particular, good lord, just her health issues, and that she's been incredibly open about it. She's leveraged her fame to give back, that she is now, I have to assume, one of the leading donors to the Immune Deficiency Foundation.
Absolutely.
And that, it's so cool to see people be able to give back, and that obviously it has increased certainly awareness about that, and that it is, again, something that she has not let it hold her back, and that fortunately, it seems like she's been on, I don't want to say, recovery, because obviously that's not something that you totally recover from, but that she has found a way to live with it and to live very strongly with it, and that
thrive in her own way.
My sort of litmus test is, all right, is Mouse singing opera? She's feeling really good today.
She's good today. Yeah, it's an incredible thing just to witness, and I think it's really important to think about that type of thing, because there's a lot of creators in every space that don't realize how much power they hold. They don't realize what their voices can say, what a simple tweet can do, positive or negative. And I think that's part of the job, and I take it quite seriously. And I know some people don't. Some people are more lighthearted than I am, I think. They're more relaxed about the whole situation. They're like, well, I want to be fun, and I don't want to worry people, and I don't want to talk about things. But I think we have such a responsibility to use our voices in a way that can change the world for the better, because, people watch us, they hear us, they talk to us, and it's funny, because, like, right now, I think, we maybe we have, like, 100 people watching us. I don't really pay attention to numbers, but that's a lot of goddamn people. 100 people, that's a lot of voices.
10 people, a dozen people, that is people that are taking time out of their day, that you can literally be doing anything. If you have the internet, if you have an internet connection, just number of things that you could be watching on Twitch alone, YouTube, TikTok, name it.
Yeah.
Billions of things that you could be watching right now, and that you're watching this.
Right? I just think I'm not huge by any means. I'm not a big creator, I'm still starting. It's my first year. I really don't think, I'm there yet, but I do have people who watch me, they follow me, they talk to me on Discord, and it's just so important that, I structure myself in a way that I'm happy with, but also what I put out into the world I'm happy with. Not everyone's gonna agree with me. I have a loud mouth. I give my opinion all the time. Some people hate it, some people love it, but I know I'm very true to myself, and I know that I feel good about what I put out there. And that's really, really, really important to me, because I would love, someone like Iron Mouse can change someone's life in an instant. And that's That's
Yeah,
like an insane amount of power to hold, and you have to take it seriously.
Yeah.
You have to.
And in that it goes both ways, that you can change things for the better, and that people also need to realize, and I very much believe that you and Iron Mouse do, but sometimes you see people that don't realize that, you know, you can sometimes change things for the worse if you aren't thoughtful and considerate. And one of the things that you said earlier, realize the people on the other side of the screen are human, realize that everyone who's watching is human, and that just basic decency goes a long way, and that, you know, at a certain point, sometimes basic human decency can change someone's life.
Yeah, I think I give my community a lot of leeway, because I know I have some community members that are like, you know, some of them have been blocked on other channels, or, you know, just seen as maybe not as comfortable to be around, because there's a lot of things that don't bother me. You know, there's just like a lot of things that just don't get to me, you know, like I don't know, someone like backseating, or, you know, someone being like, you know, I don't know, there's just a bunch of shit that I let go, and it allows that person to almost relax and become the better version, or the person that they actually are, in my space. So, you know, something that happened to another creator, you know, is mind-boggling to me. I'm like, oh my god, they did that? That's crazy. That doesn't sound like them at all. I give people the benefit of the doubt, and I think that's because I do look at them as they are human. You know what I mean? My comfort level works a lot with their comfort level, you know? I'm there to entertain, but I'm also there to understand that, you know, I'm a silly little VTuber on the internet. It's not that fucking serious. So, I don't know. I don't know. I went on a tangent. I'm sorry.
No, it's a relevant tangent, that I think that's one of the really important things for anyone who's doing content creation, of just figure out what you're comfortable with, and that different people are going to have different comfort levels, and that finding what that comfort level for you, much like anything else, is something that takes time, that you're probably going to start knowing approximately where that level is, but that as different just scenarios and experiences present themselves, that you will figure out, all right, I need to nudge the line this way, I need to nudge the line that way, and that you find what works for you, and that the people that are able to not only succeed, but the people who are able to stay around, to have longevity, to know where that comfort level is so important. Because if you don't, you will burn out. That there's multiple ways to burn out. That you can burn out from overwork, you can burn out from emotional stuff, you can burn out from, if you haven't curated your community to something that is what you want long term, that can burn you out sort of from the inside. And that, I think it's really important that people be mindful of that, and I think you very much are, and that it's really cool to see that basically everybody that comes on the show says that their community is the best community, and I agree with all of them, because if you're saying your community is the best community, you're saying it's the best community for you, because what is your best community isn't going to be the best community for somebody else necessarily.
Oh, no,
but that I think if someone's saying, oh, I have the best community, that means that they have done an incredible job curating their community. That is a testament to the content creator, and obviously to the community itself. That, chat, again, I recognize we have not been talking to you a lot. I saw someone mention that this is like the least that Aurora has ever talked to her chat, and I have,
it's crazy.
I have apologized for occupying everything, but that is sort of the show. But at the same time, Aurora, if you do see certain things in chat that you can acknowledge chat, I do want.
Oh yeah,
that you
it's
are
so
allowed
hard
to,
for me. It's so hard for me because I'm very much a conversation. I'm a just chat streamer through and through. You know, I play video games once in a while, but I am a just chat streamer. And people are like, how? I think my chat gets so surprised when I remember them. You know, and I might not be able to do that forever. That's not something I'll be capable of forever. That's true. You know, eventually I hope we get to a point where there are thousands.
If things go well, the chat will move fast enough that you can't read chat anymore.
Well, and that's the thing, and I don't think that'll ever be me. I will make sure, like, someone who supports me, and that means watching my streams, lurking, you know, just being there in general, I'm gonna try my fucking hardest to make sure. And I try every single day to remember everybody. It's just, that's part of my gig, you know?
Mhm.
I need to remember you, and I need to know details, and I like to know those details. So maybe I can't know everyone by name, and God knows, I hope we get there, but I hope the people that do support me and keep coming back and have been here and continue to be here, and you know, new people who come in and dedicate a lot of their time to want to see my success and in turn their own success in their community. Like, I'm gonna try. We're gonna go for gold, okay? I'm gonna try my best to always keep that in mind, that each of you are, you know, a part of my world, you know? Oh, and I did want to very quickly mention something that, you know, when I say, you know, what I allow in my chat, you know, I'm pretty relaxed about most of it. We always do remember to say that this is my chat. Please don't go into another chat and do that.
No, you were doing the same thing just before raiding here.
Yeah, just before raiding here, we were like, we don't know their comfort level, so let's, you know, chill out and see what they're okay with. And, you know, you should always be asking your creators that. If they don't say it out loud, maybe jog their memory, be like, hey, are you comfortable with this? Hey, you know, because there's so many things that people don't expect people to be uncomfortable with, especially if you start with me. If I'm your first VTuber experience,
you are not necessarily the average.
Yeah, I'm definitely, that is not a good starting point at all, to how you treat people, just because I'm just like so nutty wild, you know. But yeah, so just always keep that in mind. Everybody's different, and while I appreciate the way that we communicate, not everybody communicates that way, so keep all of that in mind.
Yeah, and that for me, that, like I mentioned, the rating of VTuber Talk slides with the guest, that for me, I do not have much of a community, that I have accidentally set up a channel and a content creation brand that is basically antithetical to community development. Of just, I think I mentioned it to you, I only do collabs. Yeah. That's a terrible idea if you want to make a community. I only stream about once a week. That's a terrible idea. I don't stream once a week with any regularity because I schedule around my guests. That's a terrible idea. I don't have much branding, but that's fine for me, because my goal, what I consider my community, the thing that is #1 priority to me, and I've said this since day one, I have so much love and respect for anybody who takes time out of their day to stop by one of my streams. Anybody in chat, thank you for being here. I love you. Chat is not my top priority. My guest, my guest is my top priority every single time. And my flowing logic here is, one, I expect that most of the folks that are going to be in chat at any given time to be fans of the guest. And that 99.9% of the time, if the guest is having fun, chat is probably also having fun. The percentage of time where chat is having fun and the guest is not having fun is very low and probably not good anyways.
Chat, are you having fun? Chat, I hope you're having fun, because I'm having a blast, bros. I get to talk about everything I love. I get to hype you guys up. I'm having a fucking blast and like I said, over here.
I do love chat. I do care about you, chat.
We love you!
That my guests, for me, that is my community. Those are the folks that I make sure to tailor things to, that I make sure that it's their comfort level, that if they're going to be comfortable, the odds of me being comfortable are extremely high.
Yeah. Makes sense. No, I get you. I feel that. And I feel very comfortable. And I think, you know, you had a raid today, and that shows community. I think raids are a big way to show support and community, and that, you know, that person wouldn't have raided if they didn't enjoy the time that they had, you know?
Yeah, and just, you know, for me, coming up on 3 years, you know, we talk about getting emotional, or that I do get emotional myself sometimes of just 137 episodes, and that, Bessie, Cowgirl, was one of the past guests, and that it does mean a lot to me when past guests come back and raid. That, you know, for raids in general, raids are one of the highest compliments that you can give someone on Twitch.
Oh, absolutely. Here's my community.
Yeah.
Take care of them while I sleep.
And that you can raid anybody. You can choose to not raid. You don't have to raid. But the fact that you would raid someone, that to say, oh, you chose to raid me, that's such a big deal. And that I'm curious, does TikTok have rating? Because I know that it took YouTube a while to get that. I'm not sure if TikTok has it.
Oh, absolutely not. They don't even have shout-outs. I'm surprised we have emotes. You know, we have subscriptions, so they get emotes, and they get, like, special stuff attached to that subby wubby. I call them subby wubbies. But yeah, so they're slow and steady on their race, but
Yeah.
they're gonna get there because everything they add on, they take their time. They
Mhm.
really do take their time to add on those special details, and it shows.
Oh, I'm
And I'm
sure.
really excited. Yeah, I'm really
It's like
excited to
even
see what they
YouTube.
come up with.
Flipping YouTube, owned by Google, it took them until like a year and a half ago or something to get raids in.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, people say, oh, it's just a couple lines of code. It's never just a couple lines of code.
No, it's a lot. To be able to take a bunch of users from a place and put them in
And
another
migrate them over
place
in real time.
in real time, it's crazy. It's phenomenal. Yeah, it's a crazy thing. So.
Mm. Yeah, and
Ah! 10, my mod is here. Hi, baby.
Hugman, thank you so much for being a mod. I have so much respect for mods. I did
Oh, me too.
I did professional community management for a time, and I never want to do it again. I have so
Oh,
much
God.
respect for mods. I cannot understate how much just time and effort and mental and emotional energy it takes to be a mod. That if you were,
Oh, God,
if you were being
yeah.
a mod, you are like, that is community service. Plain and simple. That is,
But yeah,
it's,
I try to pay my mods. I try to give them bonuses when I make a lot. I'm just not there yet, but I'm hoping, when I get bigger, I always tell them, I'm like, I know you guys are on the ground floor, but if I make it, well, fuck that. When I make it, you're coming with me. Because I have this saying, like, you never want to fly in first class alone. You
Mhm.
got to take everybody that got you to that plane with
Yep.
you.
yeah,
So, absolutely. So I try as much as I can, and because they're just so good. They're so great to me. They're wonderful. They work so hard. Like, 10 is sick right now. Like, I know he's sick. He should be fucking sleeping. I don't know why you're here. Go sleep! But
hopefully
it's
they're
just like those
watching
little
on their
things.
laptop in their bed or something, getting some good rest.
Yeah, it
Unwinding.
means a lot to me. Yeah, because they really do work hard, and they go through a lot. Everything I go through, my mods go through. So it's pretty phenomenal, the things that they're capable of doing or wanting to do for streamers. So
Mm, yeah. Ugh. So
don't cry. I know we all love mods. Don't cry there.
Not yet, not yet. No, that'll be next week. That'll be next week. So,
Yes, absolutely.
so actually, I've seen in chat a lot of people have been commenting over the course of the show about the
Yeah.
background music that I've been playing. I just have
Oh, yeah.
it's just a Nintendo music playlist, but I've seen people mentioning different games it's been from. And you mentioned to me that you've played piano for a while. I myself, I played
Oh.
trombone for many years. I don't play it as actively as I used to, but I did it throughout middle school, high school, college. I don't think I've ever seen you do a piano stream, but
No.
the fact that you mentioned it to me at all tells me that there's something there. So where does piano fit into your life, and to what degree is it still part of your life?
So, when I was younger, and my mom was pretty chill. She was a pretty chill mom. She had a couple of rules, don't be a little bitch.
Always a good place to start.
Yeah, good place to start. Don't ever not reach your potential. She was never a mom that said, get good grades, do this. No, she said, as long as I know you're hitting your potential, you're good to go. She's like, the second I see that you're not hitting your potential, we have a problem. So she was very relaxed with me because I did that. She was like, your potential's being reached. You're getting straight A's. You're on track. So my mom looked at me one day and she was like, okay, she was like, you're killing it. You're killing it, kid. Like you're living life. You're killing it. She was like, okay, let's add an instrument. She's like, can you do that? And I was like, fuck, I guess we're gonna try. So I picked up piano.
Okay, so piano was
Yeah.
your selection, that you were given the prompt
Yes.
of pick an instrument, and
Yes.
because piano being one of the more common instruments that kids are encouraged to practice, I wasn't sure actually if that was one that had sort of been prescribed, but that you chose it. So
Yeah.
what made you choose it?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't come from like a rich family. And the one thing that I always wanted to do, I was never capable of doing because it was too expensive. I really, really wanted to be an ice skater. And I used to tell my mom all the time, I want to be an ice skater. And it was just not possible for us. The amount of money we made, she was a single mom, impossible. Could not do it. So I know when my mom told me to pick an instrument, it wasn't because like she wanted me to play an instrument, it's because she could afford it.
instruments,
me being,
it doesn't matter. Like
yes,
violin, flute, even the ones that are
yeah,
physically small instruments, still very expensive. And
very
it only
expensive.
goes up from there.
Yeah, so me being a kid that had that knowledge, you know, my mom again was very open. Like I knew where I stood on this the line of status in the world, in a good way, in a very good way. I chose the piano because it was the cheapest. I could get the lessons in school as long as I did extracurriculars, as in I like help teachers clean or do chalkboards or do like, you know, mess hall cleanup, like stuff like that. And then I could get the free lessons, and then, you know, you could get a keyboard. And fuck, I don't even need to buy a keyboard because I can practice at school. So in my head, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do piano because I think that's the easiest for my family to incorporate into our lives. That was my thought process. And I don't know how a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, I think I started when I was 8, thought about that, but I did.
Very
so
mature
that was
7 or 8-year-old. Now, I guess, so you started with that selection from a very altruistic standpoint. Hopefully, you wound up enjoying it anyways.
Yes and no. I started off not enjoying it because I just hated the time it took away. Listen, I was a gamer, okay? I was a gamer! I had my consoles at home, and I was sitting here just like, playing this goddamn piano for 2 hours a day. It really fucking sucks. And I'm classically trained for 8 years. And I didn't get my first keyboard until my 2nd year, and I didn't get my first piano until my 4th year. When I got my piano, that changed everything. Because it was an instrument that wasn't, you know, just in my room and staring me dead in the face. It was downstairs, and it was up against the wall. And at that point, I wasn't just playing for myself. And I think I'm a streamer. I'm a showsman. Like, I'm a show person, you know? I like when people pay attention to me. Hello, I'm a fucking streamer, you know? So, as a kid, I used to love bringing that joy to either, like, you know, my abuelita, my primos, you know, just my whole family, my mom on Sunday mornings. So I think I started to really enjoy the talent of what I was taught at year 4. And then at that point, I actually asked my mom if I could get a higher classified teacher. And I got like a true fucking classical music piano teacher
not
at
just
that point.
the neighborhood person who plays piano coming to your house, but somebody who has
I got
played
scary Swedish woman. She's absolutely terrifying. Yeah, she taught me like a lot of stuff, and I was getting into concerts and, you know, doing all this really cool stuff, and I learned a lot about the instrument, I guess, as a whole. So, you know, it's just something that stuck with me. I don't really play anymore. I don't think I like playing anymore. Because I get that request all the time, and not for VTubing or anything like that. I just get it in general because people know the information. They're like, oh, play something, and I'm like, absolutely not.
that was admittedly going to be one of my next questions of, I have seen people play piano on stream, and I have not seen you, so I wasn't sure if that was just that you haven't invested in that technology, because obviously it takes a very different setup, or if it was just not an area of interest. And it sounds like that, at least at this point in time, not an area of interest. And that's fine.
It's not for me. Yeah, it's not for me anymore. I think it made me, it made me appreciate aspects of myself. I don't think I ever fell in love with the piano. And I think when you play an instrument, you need to fall in love, because it takes a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
I knew that very quickly. I met this guy, and I was dating him for a while. And I remember one time we did the bangity bang bang. He played the piano for me after, and I started crying because he was someone who was in love with the piano. And there's a distinct difference between someone who plays and someone who loves. And that, I was like, that's amazing! You're incredible! And like, literally, I could sit on the piano and play that exact fucking song, no worries, eyes closed. But the way he played it was the opposite of the way I played it. So I think that
musicians
moment
that get to know their instruments to a certain degree that just you can not only hear it, but you can see it. That those are the ones that if you go to a concert, and it's usually the first chair concertmaster, and they've gotten there for that reason, that you see them getting into the music of just violinists, the way that they sway, or the way that they just...
They are. Yeah, they are music.
People getting into it at a physical level. And that, for me with trombone, I guess, rewinding, I played violin actually for half a year. And the first year for learning any instrument is always going to be the least fun, because it is just trial and error, and it is frustrating. Because, especially just for anybody, but for someone who is used to, being good at things, that you're not going to be good at everything from the get-go, and especially instruments, because they are so precise and technical, and that a lot of it is simply muscle memory, that even if you have everything understood from a mechanical, cerebral standpoint, that's not the same as being able to have your fingers automatically go to the different keys, or being able to move your bow properly on a violin. And it's just, all right, note, and it's very rough as a player, because it feels like every little bit is a failure. But then as you eventually get better, that's when you start to I suppose feel a bit more natural joy, perhaps, because then it's, all right, I made it through this song, or I got to do this performance. That first half year of playing any instrument is going to be the toughest, just every part of it.
Oh yeah.
And that it definitely sounds like, from what you were saying, that you really started falling in love with it as time went on, and that makes sense. But also just sometimes, the people that end up playing these instruments for their livelihoods, because that they are able to really just connect with it, and that they truly, truly love those instruments. And that I did not love violin, and my parents realized it before I did, and they had me stop. And
that's so sweet. That's so sweet.
And it was a couple years later that I saw a lot of my friends getting in band classes, and that my middle school had just a phenomenal band teacher. And I wasn't enjoying the non-music arts options, so I decided to pick something up, went to the band teacher and said, I guess I want to try trumpet, because I knew I didn't want to try violin again. And she said, well, there's a lot of people that play trumpet, and if you're going to be new and you're going to play trumpet, you'll have to start in the 6th grade band as a 7th grader. But we have no trombonists. So if you pick up the trombone, you'll get to be in the 7th grade band with your friends. And I was like, well, I guess I'm playing trombone, aren't I?
Yeah, as a kid, I'd be like, trombone me, lady, let's go!
And the thing is, I wound up being first chair trombone as a 7th grader. Because I was the only trombonist.
Nice. That's the way to slay,
counts,
you know?
Still counts.
Nobody's here, so I might as well take the spot.
Yep. But that over time, fortunately, that I did fall in love with the trombone. That 7th grade was tough, and like even through 9th grade, there was a couple moments where it was like, because even 9th grade, I was first chair trombone in the highest band as a senior, because there were only 2 trombonists in that band, and the other one had been playing a year less than I had.
Oh no!
And like we got to a hard piece, and I was like, I don't know if I should be doing this. But that the band instructor was just like, no, I wouldn't have let you be in this band if you were actually bad. I would have still had you be in the lower level band because you're a freshman. And that, he gave me just enough of a nudge that basically sophomore year up through the rest of college that I really, there was a difference. And that for you, while you might not have hit that with piano, that part of me is, glad that you realize that similar to me stopping playing violin, and that I was fortunate to have my parents who realized it for me, that, there's no sense in burning time, effort, and emotional energy on something of that magnitude, really, if you're not going to get that much out of it.
It's funny because that's literally how I live my whole life. I've been like that forever. If it does not work, if it does not make me happy, I'm out. And I know it's probably not a good way to live life, but I am always on the move when it comes to stuff like that. And I realized, and it's funny that you mentioned your parents for the same thing, because my mom had mentioned that the other day, actually. She was like, you're never going to give VTubing up, are you? I was like, huh, I never really thought about it. And she was like, that's what I mean. You have not questioned it, thought about it, put it in you know, pros or cons. Yeah, it hasn't occurred. And, you know, a year is not a long time, but
it's enough
there's
to at
no
least
way.
have the
Yeah.
thought.
Oh, absolutely. This is it. And that's a crazy thing for me to say, because I don't say that. That's not a thing I say. I'm not a committed person. I'm like that in relationships, too. You can ask my chat. I don't commit. I'm a single Pringle, and I will be a single Pringle until the day I die. Fuck the homies. Let's go. But this is one thing that I'm like, oh, no. This is it. This is what we're doing. This is what I'm striving for. This is absolutely it. And that's... And I know it's cocky to almost say, but I'm like, that's how I know I'm gonna make it. Because there's no other option. This is it.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's cocky to say that, because you're saying you're going to make it. You're not saying I'm going to make it tomorrow, or that I'm going to, do this specific thing. You're just saying that
Yeah.
you're gonna make it. And I think that is a very reasonable thing to say, and I think that the vast majority of people that make it really in anything, whether it be playing an instrument, as a streamer, as an entertainer, that it does need to be something that you love, because, again, even if you are the most talented person in the world, that you can still make it if you are extremely talented and don't love it. You're not likely to persist as long if you don't love it.
Yeah.
And that very much for something like this, very, very few exceptions to it, this is the long game.
Oh, absolutely. This is the longest game I've ever played. It's hard, it gets on you, and it works all of your mental space, It works all your energy. It works all of the way that you feel about yourself, your self-love, your everything, your anxiety, your depression, your trauma. It's all triggered being a streamer. And I know that's very like an odd thing to say out loud, but it's because we communicate with so many people all the time. Being a streamer is communication 24/7, whether that's on Twitter, whether that's on TikTok, whether that's on Twitch, whether that's with yourself, collabs, interacting with people who do the same thing as you, friends, colleagues, all these things. It's just your brain is on. Mm-hmm. Your brain is on 24/7, and yeah. So if you're gonna do it, and you're not gonna do it as a hobby, because I think doing it as a hobby, while we all do the same thing and we all work very hard,
it's very different.
The game is different. Yeah, the game is different. One is whatever if I skip a day. If I skip a day, that means rent.
Yeah,
yeah, this was my livelihood. So it's just like, it's an intense game, and I think that's why I like it.
And that it's all of that, and then, to borrow a phrase, VTubing is just streaming with extra steps. That you're literally doing it on hard mode. Being a VTuber is hard mode for content creation, because there's literally extra steps. There's extra programs. There's extra buttons. There's extra pieces that can go wrong. That everything from the model, your toggles, just the VTube Studio itself, or whatever program you might use it for other types of models. That it's literally extra steps that you're doing all of that and then having to balance it. That in a way, obviously this is not a perfect analogy, but VTuber models are instruments in their own regards, that you are having to learn how to use and play this type of instrument. And while it's not necessarily, all right, I'm following the sheet music, so to speak, that you need to learn how to operate your model. You need to figure out, all right, different toggles and different scene changes. That the people who I've seen that are really good VTubing, that I have equated people to playing instruments or to being conductors, concert masters, that are able to, they have their Steam Deck or Stream Deck, and they know which buttons to press, and you see them moving all around. Some people have more motion involved than others, but even if you're not using those types of different toggles, it's simply knowing how to move yourself, how to emote. Emote, not the toggle emotes, but that is something that is an extra layer, an extra set of things going through your mind that you need to be aware of, that facecam streamers or streamers that don't have a physical representation for themselves don't have to think about.
Yeah, it's extreme. It's so funny that you say that, because I'm learning how to pilot my new model, and oh god damn is it hard. I have a list right in front of me, and it has all the buttons. It's about 2 pages long. And it has all these buttons, and I'm just like sitting here and I'm trying to like get everything because it's very different. While it is the same artists that worked on my previous, like this model that you see now,
The rigging's not really the same, or at least not exactly.
no. My papas both elevated in their style and their art, so it is very different. And just the way, you know, when people ask me, because you hear my voice, I voice act everything.
Whether I'm doing the mommy voice
or this voice, I voice act. I'm a voice actor throughout all of my VTubing. So the question that I get the most is, doesn't your voice hurt, or does your throat hurt after streams?
Voice
and I'm
is an
like,
instrument.
no. Yeah, like it doesn't really. Like I practice, you know, I do my warm ups every day, blah blah blah. I was like, that's not what hurts. You wanna know what hurts? My face. I get, because like the way I have to smile, the way I have to laugh, the way I have to
tracking
move,
to pick it
up, to get things like just as the way that I like them, and I feel like my audience enjoys. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of movement, and people don't realize that. You know, when you're watching a VTuber, they think we're just sitting there. Oh no, I move a lot.
Effort.
Yeah, I animate. You know, you got to put a lot into it. So, thank you for noticing.
I know folks that they've actually been able to increase their stream duration over time because they've gotten better at their voice acting. That Cabal has been very open about it. And I remember way back in the day, he said, you know, I can't really stream more than 3-4 hours at a time because I do this voice, and it is something that is very important to me, and I'm getting better at it over time. But I know that if I go for 5-6 hours, I'm going to damage my voice, and I can't do that. But then over time, he's able to do 6, 7, 8 hour streams because his voice, his instrument, he's getting that practice, he's building that muscle, and that if it's something that is practiced, no, that won't actually be tired after you stream as long as you've done things right.
Absolutely. Like yesterday, I was intending to stream longer, and I hit 2 hours, and my voice was like absolutely not. And it's because my room was freezing. And you know, your vocal cords, they can constrict when it's cold, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's just so cold. My heater just like there's no effort, so I had to stop. And it is what it is. It happens. I have rusty days. Does happen. When I take off on Sundays, I just completely silence. I don't really talk. I also limit a lot of my intake on caffeine, alcohol, dairy. You know, it's all things dedicated to make sure that I can continue doing this for as long as I want to. You know what I mean?
Do you use any vocal remedies or soothers?
Absolutely. So I actually have in LA, I had a local farmer that used to make like tea leaves, and they created like a singer's tea leaf for me. Basically,
wow. So like a custom order.
Custom order. So I have like elm. It has like elm root is like the most important, but it has like a couple of berries and a lot of roots and stuff like that. And I make it every day. I make it in the morning and I make it at night, sometimes in the middle of streams. I drink a lot of tea, constantly drink a lot of water, constantly drink a lot of tea. I make sure that my honey is locally sourced as well, so I don't have to deal with, you know, the pollen or anything, allergies in general. Also, honey is like, heals. Life is so good. Life is so good with the honey. And I do a shit ton of vocal singing exercises because it's the same instrument. I also, you know, I see doctor once a month just to maintain that I can continue doing this career. It's very important that I go see her and that she knows everything about me. Like she knows that I'm a VTuber and that this is my career and all that stuff. So
I don't know if I've heard of somebody going to a vocal doctor once a month.
Yeah. So
I make sure that things are good.
Yeah, I definitely will bring it down. I did it for my first year because I needed to see the growth, the change. And I needed to know, I needed to know if I was capable of doing this because some people can damage worse than others. And after 6 months, she was like, no change. So you're killing the game. And I recently went because I had just done a donathon. And that's 30 days of straight streaming for me.
Yeah, no, there was actually a post I saw going around really in the last week or two of folks that have actually damaged their vocal cords because they pushed themselves too hard during subathons.
Yeah. So I had done, and it was up to chat. Like, it was up to 30 days. Chat hit the goal in 6 days.
Oops.
So I had to stream. Yeah, oops. So I had to stream for 30 days. It was phenomenal, and I loved every second. But I did 10, 12 hours every day. And there were days that I was like, hey guys, it's not happening today. If I stream today, you will never see me again because yeah, it's over. So, you know, after that, I went to the doctor and I was like, give it to me straight, lady. Did I fuck my voice up by streaming as much as because there were days that I pushed myself and I shouldn't have. And she was like, you're fine. I was like, oh, okay, we're going. We're doing this.
Damage, nothing permanent. That's what we like to hear.
Nothing permanent, yeah. She was like, you know, there are some things that you need to cool it, and when your voice is saying no, bitch, get off the computer. So now I take that a lot more seriously, you know, and I do a lot of rest, but a lot of the remedies have to do with heat, making sure your room has enough water in the atmosphere too. You know, it's all about making sure your vocal cords are chilling, and honestly, I walk around with a straw. So there's this thing, it's called like the mini straw singing technique, and you basically take a straw, like one of those sipsters for coffee or for alcohol, and you put it in between your teeth and your tongue, and you sing through it. And if you do it correctly, you feel like a slight vibration, and the air basically bubbles and pushes back against your throat. It actually makes some of the muscles and some of the lining in your vocal cords stronger. It's something I do every single day, and it's one of my warm-ups. I keep a straw with me. If I'm going to sing in the car or sing on the train, if I'm walking somewhere, that's how I do it. Because, like I said, like, I've never put this much dedication into something. Because this is it. This is it. So I eat, sleep, breathe Aurora MAQUI.
But it sounds like you're enjoying every minute of her. Well, sorry, I should not speak in absolutes. That you are enjoying the vast majority of it.
Yeah, I do. I love it. I love it. I mean, it is still a job. So there are hard days, but, you know, I always tell my chat when I push that go live button, damn, does it change. You know, I could have a shit day. A shit day. You know, maybe the day before we didn't hit numbers, or maybe the day before I just wasn't at my best, and then, you know, I just click that go live button. It all melts away. It's all like, who gives a fuck? Let's party.
Yeah. And especially for me, that every stream for me is a new experience, something that is going to be one of a kind, because each show, each guest is different. And that, you know, I was just sort of dragging earlier today that nothing was wrong, I was just tired. But that as got closer to showtime, just, you know, the natural adrenaline, the excitement for having a show starts hitting you, and that by the time we were ready and hitting live, it's like, all right, I'm rolling, let's do this. And
yeah,
it makes
I feel you. No, it does.
And that I actually use some vocal remedies myself. The two that I've found that they were recommended by friends, one of which is actually a professional VA. There is a syrup called Ninjam, N-I-N,
yes,
which I know usually if you're in this kind of space, you've probably heard of it because it's one of the better known syrups remedies.
It tastes like butt.
Oh, I do use
it. I do use it. I do. But only in extreme cases. So like during my subathon, homegirl was on deck. Homegirl was on deck every night.
I'm sad that you don't enjoy the taste. I like it, but it is a unique taste for sure that I can understand how it might not be to someone's liking. The other one, and you mentioned honey, that there is a throat spray I use called Vocalese, and it's basically just a honey spray. That there's another product that is essentially the same thing called Singer's Saving Grace, and that it's just like 2 small sprays of what is mostly honey, and that I was able to recover from a lost voice after working an event that just, it was a very, very loud environment, and I accidentally killed my voice, and I was going to a concert with friends that Thursday. And so I basically, like you said, the best way to recover from a lost voice, to make yourself better, is to just not talk. And that basically from that Sunday night until Thursday, midday, that I would talk like once, twice a day, just to see, all right, where am I? What is my progress? How am I doing? But otherwise, silence, that spray like twice a day, and fluids constantly.
Okay, you gotta hook a girl up. I need links. I've never had that before.
All right, I will send that to you after the show. Absolutely. But
Yes,
it's
please.
pretty cheap. It's like $15 for a spray
Oh,
bottle of water.
love
It's
it.
not bad at all.
Yeah. I mean, I use like lozenges too, but not like lozenges. There's like there's a brand that does like directly vocal
Yeah.
stuff. I forget what it's called. I have it behind me. It's like honey something. So I'll take one of those. If it gets really bad at night and my tea doesn't work, then I'll
Yeah.
pop one of those and be like, okay, I gotta work tomorrow. Well, let's see what happens.
But I always love hearing because different people have different ones. I don't know if I've ever had someone who actually got a custom like homemade tea brew before. That I've heard any number of different teas for sure, but the fact that you
Oh
actually
yeah, like
went
the
to a
throat
local
coat. Yeah.
but to go to a local grocer farmer tea maker and have them actually make you a special blend, that's actually really cool. Had they ever done anything like that before? Did they know what you were talking about when you were asking?
Yeah, so they had already made custom teas in general, but they had never heard of like a singer's blend. So like, we went on a journey. We went on a journey
man, 'cause I
together.
feel
We were like, okay,
'cause if it
what
worked for
worked?
you should tell them, hey, you can sell this stuff because there is a
Oh,
market
they do
for it.
now. Yeah, it's totally up and running. They're like, okay, well now this is a
Hell
thing.
yeah.
And so because I used to use the throat coat, and while they do work, majority of what's in those tea bags are to soothe the throat, not help develop and calm the throat. It's a different thing, you know.
Mhm.
You use it if you have a harsh day and it relaxes you, it calms it down. It's great for you. But if you're looking for something that works with you,
Yeah.
you gotta go and get, real elm root. You need that sticky stuff. You need that shit in your tea at all times. So I don't know. I felt like it was really important for me to, I don't know, if I'm gonna do this again, go all in, go crazy, go stupid. You'll figure out what works and you'll figure out what doesn't. And
Yeah. Now, the one thing
keep
that you
moving
want to
forward.
avoid, and it sounds like you very much avoided it, but the thing that I learned when I was first looking around, that you never want to go with throat numbers. That there's a lot of over-the-counter things
Oh God.
that are like listed as throat soothers, but what they do is that they numb your vocal cords, and yes, that will remove the pain. But the thing is, if you take one of those and then sing or shout or talk a lot, you will actually harm your voice because you don't feel. The point of pain is that is your body's way of saying you should not be doing this. This is bad.
Yeah.
Please stop. And if you're not feeling that, if you're not getting that feedback, and you're still putting that strain on your vocal cords while they're numbed, you're actually going to damage your vocal cords multiple times over. So the big thing is, if you're ever looking into vocal remedies, and I mostly say this for chat more than you because you're in the know, but for folks out there, if you're looking into stuff, make sure that it's not numbing, because numbing is not what you want. It can be good, like if you're sick and you're not planning on pushing yourself and singing while sick, as you shouldn't, numbing's totally fine, nothing wrong with that. It is not a bad product to have. It's not the right product if you are planning to sing or talk a lot and you are looking for healing.
Yeah, no, and that's another thing. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are like, "Oh, throat, lemon, salt," and I'm like, "No, don't do that. If you're gonna talk, that's the opposite. Your vocal cords are
That's
so
acidic.
much different than your throat. Yeah, your vocal cords are so much different than your throat, and it's really, really important to know the difference. But again, that's if you're taking it. If you want to be a voice actor, you want to be a singer, that's the stuff that you need to know. But if you're just chilling, well, it's whatever. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yes, I'll actually make a note to send you that.
Yeah, I'll buy that
Those
shit
two-
tonight. Don't
Yeah,
play.
those two have done wonders for me. I always just keep the both of them, and that they're sort of interchangeable for me. That if I need something like really fast, the spray is good. Ninjam is usually going to be a bit more effective and potent, and sounds like at the very least you found that it still works for you, but that you keep it in your back pocket for when it's necessary, since you don't like the taste. But hey, if anything, like
it works.
that is the ultimate in saying yes, it works because I'm taking it even if I don't like the taste.
Exactly. Yeah, because it absolutely works. It absolutely works. It does what it says. Yeah, it's just like I'm like, oh my god, should I mix it with honey? Because it's gonna kill me, man. I think it's because it is. So honey is also another one that I didn't like honey when I started. I'm not a honey person either, because it's too sweet. I don't really like sweet drinks. I don't like really sweetness in general, unless it's like, I don't know, like cupcakes or something. I don't know, it's weird. I don't like sweet whatever, you get it. But the the point is, I was like, okay, now I have to force myself to eat honey, and now I'm more used to honey because I found one that I like. Like I like dandelion honey.
Yeah, that
Dandelion honey
honey
sways.
people think of honey as a singular taste, and while most honey will have similarities that something like I don't know, beer or whiskey or whatnot, that there's different whiskeys, there's different beers, and that there's going to be different flavors, and especially, like you mentioned, based simply on the flower, and that most of what you're going to see in terms of honey in your average American grocery store is going to be something pretty standard, but that if you look out there, there are very different types of honey that have very different types of tastes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's really cool because I get that from a farm too. So they have like a shit ton. It's like 15 different honeys. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the dandelion one is like not as sweet as the rest of them. It has like more of a tartness as opposed to a sweetness. So I'm just like, that one, please. Hook me up with that one.
So winding things back, but in sort of you mentioning that you don't like sweet things sort of got this turning in my mind. So I'm curious, what is your drink of choice? Because I know I actually do usually like sweeter drinks, but what is your drink of choice? And do you remember what the drink that you had that night at the hotel with your friend was?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We were definitely drinking vodka cranberries.
Okay, well, that makes sense, 'cause that's the tartness.
Or a Jaeger bomb. And the Jaeger bomb's not for me. The Jaeger bomb is for her. I drink them because she loves them. It gives you energy because it's Red Bull. But yeah, if I'm gonna drink something, it's usually vodka or soju, and I like them plain. I don't really like flavors or anything like that. I just like them chilling. I'll drink Jameson. I like Jameson once in a while for a shot. I won't mix Jameson in anything. I'll take a shot of Jameson. I think I just like the way it makes me feel. And then I drink a lot of red wine. I'm a red wine drinker.
Uh-oh, we might have lost Aurora. Double checking, OBS is still up. I think we are good. Please stand by, folks. Best I can tell, I'm still live. If you all can confirm for me. Okay, yep. Okay, I think I am still live, so we're good there. Cool. Stand by, folks.
Hi!
Whoop.
Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you now. Still can't see you, but can hear you.
Am I live still?
Yes, we are live. Do you want me to take us to BRB for a moment?
Yeah, if you could.
Okay, folks, please stand by. We will be right back. Where'd that one go? Okay. Now let me double check. we're back. Thank you.
Thankfully!
Thank you so much for your patience, folks. Technical difficulties, not Aurora's fault in the least. Just the things outside of her control happened. We got it back up. We were actually prepping to do potential backup, but then things worked at the last minute, so we are back.
Yeah, hopefully the storm doesn't take me out, chat, but let's see what happens, alright?
Now I've completely lost my train of thought. Crud.
What were we? You want to know what happened to me? Literally, you could think about it. I looked up, the lights went off. My PC is connected to an adapter, so the PC stays on. And I literally just screamed, "Oh shit!" like so loud, and my cats just like jumped off of all their places, and they're like, "What's going on, Mom?" And I'm like, "We lost connection, cat." So I'm just happy that we got it back.
Yeah. Poof. There went the thought that there was. Oh, we were talking like numbing sprays and stuff, and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
I'm
that's
gonna,
you gotta
send you
send me
the.
the link.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely will do that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
so, we've talked about it various times tonight that you have your 2.0 debut next Saturday, and it is codenamed Project Overlord. So very fun name. And you mentioned to me that one of the goals for the debut is that you will. If it is reached, you will do a Aurora cosplay. And you mentioned several times that you've done cosplay, that you've interviewed cosplayers. So I won't go through your entire cosplay history, but I guess what conceptually ends up being involved if you're going to be doing an Aurora cosplay, that I guess there's going to be a lot of different pieces. That the wig, first and foremost, I imagine is going to be big.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, I'm so thankful. So I have a really good friend who's a professional cosplayer. She's top of her fields in cosplay. So I just, I went into Discord and I was like, "Hey, boo, who makes your wigs?" And she sent me a link, and I spoke to them, and I was like, "Hey, listen, like, I know you've done pigtails before. I've seen them. I've seen the twin tails that you do have, but I want bigger." And it's a team. It's a couple. So they were like, "Oh, well, I think they're a couple." Okay, don't quote me on that, because I'm not sure. Maybe they're friends, couple. I don't know. They're a team.
They are a
They're
creative
a team.
collaboration. They are a couple
Exactly.
of creators. They are not necessarily a romantic couple.
Yeah. So they quoted me, and they were like, "This is what we could do if you want the hair to be like a regular, like a Miku wig. You know, we'll add all the colors. We'll even add the stars, but it won't have the volume or the shape that Aurora does." And I was like, "Okay, and if I
But
do
what
want
if?
that?" Yeah, what if? And they were like, "Yes, you know what? We'll take it on, sure." So it's one of their first, I think, fuller twin tail projects, and they even yesterday sent me a message and was like, "We had to buy more hair."
The only thing I worry about for you, what is the weight going to be?
Oh,
Just,
yeah,
like,
it's gonna be
the physical
quite-
strain of having that much hair pulling down on your head. I worry about it just becoming heavy and difficult to work with.
Yeah. So funny enough, the inside is hollow.
Oh,
So they have created the shape out of something else. I don't want to give away their
Oh,
secrets.
mhm.
So
No, but that makes
and
sense
then
that it's then just sort of the outer
Yeah.
lining is hair, but that it is something that is
Yes.
otherwise going to be lightweight. That's smart.
Yeah, they're incredible. I mean, they're top of their fields in their creation as well. So I was really excited to work with him, and I hope they're excited doing it. I know it was a huge project, and I know they felt like, I think they felt like overwhelmed a little bit, because we had spoken last year, probably around June, I want to say, which is very far away. They started working in November. And I did have a deadline by the end of January, but I was like, "Listen, if that doesn't happen, who cares?" Like,
You
enjoy
don't need
it.
that for the debut. That is a debut
No.
reward. That is for something afterwards.
Yeah, it's a
anyways.
reward. Yeah, it's for afterwards. So I was like, I'm not pressed for time. I was like, just I want it to come out in a way that you feel really good about it. I want you to feel your artistry in it, and Because at the end of the day, when an artist likes what they're doing, it's gonna come out better. So I was like, go for it. Use the time that you need. Do whatever you want to. Practice. Mess up. If you need more hair, let me know. Like, just like anything. Because I really want it to be a staple piece in my life. I just want to have that some bitch in my room and be like,
use it multiple times.
Yeah! Yeah. Well, that's what they're known for. Their shit stays. Like, as long as you take care of it and you know. It's just usable all the time. I see my friends' wigs, and they keep up in a way that I've never seen cosplay wigs keep up. And I mean, I used to make my own, and not to toot my own horn, I was pretty fucking good. But these people, this is why they're professionals. So I'm really excited for it.
What about the part on the neck and the arm that have, the Aurora? Is that something that would be with body paint, or maybe like do you get like a special material and then just have it be part of a bodysuit? What's the plan on that, if you're comfortable saying?
Yeah, of course. So surprisingly, there's actually material. Years ago, I did a cosplay. What the hell is her name? Toya, something from. What was the one that they eat people? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, there's several of
those. With Kaneki. Blonde hair. The hell is this bitch's name? Either way, whatever. I did a cosplay and there's panel work on her wings. And we had found I was dating this guy and he happened to like work Tokyo Ghoul! Thank you, Boyd!
That makes sense.
Tokyo Ghoul, yeah. So her wings changed a lot. So I was like, I want that to be mechanical. I want to see that like in lights, So my boyfriend at the time, he worked along people that could get crazy shit. So there's panels that you can cut and reflect whatever you want them to. So and that was years ago. So I'm assuming, and I looked into it a little bit. It's possible to get it without being fancy now. You just cut it and it reflects the screen. And it could be sewn into material, it could be, glued into material, whatever way you want to fuck around with it. So, the way my costume is set up, it's pretty ideal to, body tape and then be sewn into the neckline and be attached to the back. So I think that's going to be the way that I do it, because I am going to make the rest of the cosplay. The only thing I didn't want to do is the wig, so the rest of the costume I'm going to sew and create on my own. I love doing props. Unfortunately, I don't have any props except my headpiece.
Yeah, I was going to say, the headpiece is technically going to count as a prop. It's not necessarily a handheld prop, but...
Yeah, so that's a prop, and I like doing the LEDs, so that's going to be a lot of fun to work with, too. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I haven't cosplayed in years.
Well,
so
actually, you do have a prop. Yeah. Your ID badge.
Yeah, that's really important too. Yeah, I definitely am gonna make that. I already asked my papa for the actual enlarged image, so I have that. I'm gonna print that out on something and then rough it up. Give it the old destroy and no one can see your mistakes kind of trial.
Is that something that you think you would potentially do, like a hand cam stream, work on any of that on stream, or is that going to be all behind the scenes and that people will only see the finished product?
So I think the props I would definitely want to do on stream. I think that would be really fun. I'm really good at it. I don't need to think a lot when I make props because it's just my bread and butter. That's what I used to do. I used to have a couple of 3D printers and, I just love that shit. The sewing, I need a lot more concentration just because fair. I'm pretty precise when it comes to that stuff. And I'm also a freehander, meaning I don't use patterns. I hate making them. I know how to. I can do it, but fuck it. I'm the only person that's gonna wear it. I don't need a fucking pattern. I'm just gonna build, So that I need a little more. It's a lot of trial and error that I'm not willing to put online. You guys don't have to suffer.
Of not wanting to poke yourself with a needle because you're trying to read.
Yeah, just stuff like that. And there's little things that are just not possible, like my shoulders. That's just not a thing.
Yeah.
It's not possible. It's just not gonna work. But the rest of the stuff, I'm gonna try my best to kill it. And then unfortunately this jacket is not going to be part of the cosplay. I will not be. Yeah, and I'm okay with that, but I am going to, there's a piece on my new model that I am going to make, and it is something that goes over my original costume, and it's a little bit easier for me to make, so I'm gonna go with that one.
How do you plan to do? You have the panels like on your shoulders and on your torso. Would that be just body paint there, or?
I would definitely go a little more in depth with it. I think if I could get the right, I guess, prosthetics, for some of them, I think the prosthetics would be really cool on my shoulders and like
to
my
actually
neckline.
have the panels be able to
Yeah,
pop out as
yeah.
you've been having throughout the show.
So I would love to do like something like that. I don't know if I'll be able to. And then like makeup is perfectly fine for the lines and stuff like that. I don't need to go crazy. You know, if I'm gonna be walking around a con and hugging people, high-fiving people, you know,
Makes sense,
the wig is already an issue.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's gonna be
The
real
wig
fun
is already
getting
an
through
issue.
doors.
Yeah. So and again, my new model has 6 different hairstyles, so I could just pick a different 6, different hairstyles. So I could just pick a different one too when I go to cons. You know, the wig might just be something I stream with, take photos with, and then keep, like for me, you know, just kind of one of these things, like a something that I display in my house for the rest of my life.
A trophy.
You know, kind of like the ultimate gift to myself would be proving that I am Aurora Maki by literally being Aurora Maki.
Oh, I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
You are someone who has been open and has posted IRL photos every so often. It's not an everyday occurrence, but that's something that you've been comfortable with, and that I'm excited to see that it feels like an extra phase of the VTubing journey of cosplaying yourself in that way. Of just, and that obviously not everybody is going to want to do it, but I'm excited to see you embark on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not for everybody, but I think it's just such a cool way to connect my life. And again, I haven't done it in years. I did love it, you know, and I still love watching people do it, so I'm down. One last ride, you know?
Yeah. And again, I will sadly not be tuning into your debut. It is nothing personal, I assure you. But
Mario! Oh, Mario! I know you got a lot of planning. I literally turn off the internet 2 days before my debuts.
No, that you and I are... Remember, we're literally going to be live at the same time.
Yeah, no, I know. Hopefully I can say hello, just kind of sneaky.
But that I'm very excited for you, and that I don't want to push things too much longer just so we don't risk having another disconnection. But I do have a couple of last questions that I asked all my guests. That very little of VTuber talk is consistent in the questions, but these are the 2 things that I use to sort of wrap up the show. And the first is, what are your goals for the year? And this is actually more appropriate than ever, this being the top of 2024, that naturally you have that debut happening in a week. So that is a big goal being accomplished. So I'm not going to count that. But post debut 2.0, what do you want to accomplish in 2024? And that could be any number of things, either tangible or intangible. Just a project you want to do, something that you want to achieve in terms of metrics, anything in between. What do you want to be able to look back at the end of this year and say, I did that?
I think the biggest thing right now is, you know, I'm embarking on this Twitch journey. It's very new, you know, we're not quite, you know, I think the issue with me on Twitch is that I'm inconsistent, and because I'm inconsistent, my viewers are also inconsistent. So, you know, we haven't hit partner, even though sometimes we reach those numbers. You know, some days I don't, and a lot of days, you know, like today, you know, we had 100-something people. That was, I think we only had 1 raid. And, you know, so that was pretty much my viewers just coming to hang out with me, which was amazing. And that's what I'm looking for, you know, I'm looking for that consistency. I want to hit Twitch partner, just because I think hitting Twitch partner really solidifies you in the term of streaming full time. I'm very lucky, you know, the money that I make and the people are just like so good to me, but I would like to have that little badge. You know, that little badge just proves to the world that, you know,
purple on your profile.
Yeah, they just, you know, you're on the right track. I think that's what that is for a lot of people. And I would really like to show my community that, yes, we are on the right track, and you guys help me achieve that goal. So that's something together that we could do as a community, and I think that would be really fun. Because, you know, on TikTok, that's not a thing. You know, I already have all those things because, you know, TikTok treats money more important than Twitch, TikTok's metric for money is more important than Twitch's metric for money, when it comes to you growing on the platform. So I think that's an interesting thing. So that's definitely one. The next thing is I have this show that I do. It's called Connect.exe.
That's what I forgot to put on my notes.
Oh, that's okay. So it's a show, and what we've done, I think 3 of them, and it was very trial and error. So one of the mods, I hired a mod who specifically works on that, and we are going to revamp it for the new year. We did 3, and we did them, knowing that this was a practice run, So we're gonna be tweaking and changing, and I want to release that again. It's one of the best things I've ever done in terms of like mental structure, so I'm really excited about that. I really, I think the biggest thing is I just really want to make a name for myself. I want, when people talk about VTubers, that my name comes up. And I think in some spaces that is a thing, but I don't think it's enough to where I could be like, yes, absolutely, I'm here. I'm good. I'm close enough to, that totem pole of meaning something in this community. Because I would love to mean something in this community because I want to give back and I want to do a lot more for people trying to be where I am, be where, I don't know, Coco Nuts is, Rakami, Bao, Zentreya, Henya, Porcelain Maid. Those people are these insanely creative and wonderful creators, and they made a name for themselves. They work really hard, but not only that, they do a lot of entertaining and giving back, and I just want to do that. I want to have that capability, and I can't do it without, having those followers, reaching those goals. So yeah, let's just double all these numbers. Let's get to that little stupid check mark, and let's make a fucking difference. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Hell yeah. And that, obviously, like you said, you might not be where you want to be quite yet, but for being 1 year in, I think you're doing pretty damn well.
Oh, absolutely! Listen, I did have 10 people watching me, and I think we did pretty damn well. I think doing this is really difficult, and I'm very lucky, I'm very fortunate, privileged to be where I am. I love every moment, and if tomorrow only 4 people show up, it is what it is. I'm not gonna stop. And I'm really going to continue on this journey with that in mind. What's important is my enjoyment and my happiness for this art form. And at the end of the day, I'm going to take what it gives me and roll with the punches.
Absolutely. And I think that you have a very healthy outlook, that you have a very practical outlook as well, that you have a very business-minded outlook. And I think part of that also probably comes from your time in fintech and marketing, that you, that you have a very realist and pragmatic approach to things, but not in a bad way, that you still allow yourself to become emotionally invested, that it's not that you are only looking at this as data and numbers, that you have found that very healthy balance of where knowing how to use data and information and keeping track of things and structuring things while also being flexible and knowing how to let that flexibility allow you to be yourself as best as possible.
Yeah, I think and my chat knows this. I think the people who follow me know this. I'm 100% unapologetically myself, and that has to never change, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to do it.
Yeah. And the last question I ask all my guests is, what does being a VTuber mean to you? And that's not the question of what is a VTuber, but we've talked about a lot of things regarding VTubing and content creation tonight, and I've had some people say being a VTuber lets me get in touch with my inner child. It lets me be someone I can't be in real life. I've had others who have a more clinical approach and say, I see it as a tool in my tool belt as an entertainer, and I don't have a really strong connection to my model on an emotional sense, but I love this outfit and that I think it lets me do more fun and creative things than I ever could without this model. And those are two pretty extreme sides of a spectrum, and that there are answers in between and even beyond. So for you, Aurora Maki, what does being a VTuber mean to you?
Being a VTuber means to me allowing myself the comfort and the capability of being myself. I think being a VTuber allows me to not worry about the surface too much. I think our world is full of a lot of surface. The way we post on the internet, the way we filter, the way we talk and hide behind so many things. And it's funny because I'm literally hiding behind an avatar, but it just helps me really focus on what's important, and that's the content. Everybody knows what I look like. Whether you like that or not should not be a concern about the content and the entertainment that I'm bringing you. And I speak the same way about my model. I'm glad that people like it, and I'm glad people connect with it, but it is definitely just that thing that makes me feel 100% myself online. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the uniqueness of creating, it's the uniqueness of character building, it's the uniqueness of growing and allowing people to feel comfortable, because I think that works for the other side too. I think when chat looks at me, they don't have to worry about what they look like, how people perceive them, because I'm not expecting that from them, so they're never going to expect it from me. And I think that's really important to keep us on a level of understanding almost, and it's a wild thing to have, understanding on the internet. And I think VTubing has crossed that boundary a little bit, brought us together in a way that makes it a little bit easier for us to connect.
Yeah. I always ask that at the end of the show because, one, it helps sort of put a bow on things, but two, after talking with someone, even if only for a couple of hours, the answers I get always make sense. That, like I mentioned earlier, something with this being the culmination of all the things you've worked on in your life, and that you've prepared, perhaps unknowingly, all your life to be a VTuber, that all the different things that we've discussed unknowingly sort of prepares me for that question, that answer, because again, there is that consistency of interests, of passions, of what makes somebody want to do something like content creation and VTubing. And that for you, a year in, I think you are in an incredible place, Aurora. I think you have some very bright times ahead of you. That Twitch partner checkmark is, in my opinion, a when, not an if, and it's just going to be that when, and if I had to bet, I would bet sooner rather than later.
Okay, stop. You're gonna make me cry. It's there. It's on the brink. Oh my god.
It's a warm-up for next weekend, Aurora. Better get used to it.
Yeah. Get my eyelids push-ups in. I need the strength. Oh god. Thank you, though. Really, that means a lot to me, because I don't know. In this whole industry of content creation, you really got to tell yourself those things, and sometimes it's very hard to look yourself in the eye and be like, you got this, but thank you.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule as you are putting in that last bit of prep for your debut to be here. That this has been so much fun. I'm glad that we were able to get everything stood up again, that technology did not, in fact, get the better of us tonight. So thank you so much. And again, thank you for the raid. I think I actually may have missed a couple of other follows along the way. Zazel182, Torin the Chosen, Claymon 01010, and Soggy Biscuit 00. Thank you so much for the follows. And I hope that all of you in chat enjoyed the show. Aurora, I do actually have one last question, and that's, who would you like us to raid?
Oh, okay, so I always tell people this, because this is how I raid. Sometimes I raid friends, but that's not really my thing. I like to go and click the VTuber tab, and I like to change the settings to the lowest views, and find someone that's playing something that you enjoy. Click it, and go. Give someone an opportunity. Someone who has 2-3 people watching them, let's raid them, because, they deserve some extra love today.
Heck yeah. So I'll let you do that selection while I do some...
You want me to do it?
Yeah. No, I always let the guests choose, and I'll do some last-minute housekeeping. So again, to everybody in chat, thank you so much for tuning in. If for some absurd reason you aren't already following Aurora, please be sure to do so. Her links are here at the bottom of the screen, down in the Twitch panels if you're watching live, and they'll be in the video description if you watch on YouTube. And if you're interested in more shows like this, you can just follow me here on Twitch and on Twitter. It's VTuber Talk both places. Nice and simple. I do hope that you enjoyed tonight, and if you're able to stop by again, that'd be great. And even if not, thanks for being here and for supporting Aurora.
Oh, thank you! Okay, let's see. I'm seeing... Oh, there's a Cult of the Lamb. Oh, man. I'm a sucker for Cult of the Lamb. I think that's it. Let's do it. I don't know who this person is. So that's another thing I like to remind chat. We don't know this VTuber. We don't know who they are. So be respectful, but also understand that we don't really know their content. But who knows? They might be a banger. Might be your new
check
favorite
their rules,
YouTuber.
check their vibe, and be nice.
Yeah.
Also, Voidroid, thank you very much for the follow.
Ah,
We're going
we
to
love
be
Void.
rating into Ryko Tar. Tor? Hopefully
Tor?
I'm pronouncing that right. We'll
They gotta
find
tell
out.
us.
We'll
Yeah, they
find
gotta
out when we
tell
get there.
Yeah, let's go! Thank you again, by the way. This was so much fun. 3 hours, didn't even notice that. This is fucking phenomenal. I had such a good time. Do recommend if there's any VTubers in chat right now. I really appreciate the time I had on here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. And like I said, the guest is always the top priority for me. So knowing the guest had a good time, that means I did something right.
So good, so good. Thank you very much.
Pleasure is all mine. All right, chat. Well, actually, do we have a raid message?
My raid message is...
It's the Android sent us.
Well, yeah, it's either Susbot sent us or the Toaster sent us. Honestly, you can do yours. You got a raid message?
No, I don't. I guess the Toaster and Talk Show host sent us.
Yeah, the Toaster and the Talk Show host sent us. Do it. Come on, chat. Toaster and Talk Show. Talk Show's one word. Oh, yeah, there you go. The Toaster and Jay sent us. Let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Emote.
Awesome.
Emote. Don't forget your emotes.
Well, we will be sending you all along in just a moment. But again, thank you, Aurora, and thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. This has been episode 137 of VTuber Talk, and the next stream is going to be the 3rd anniversary charity marathon. So tune in after you watch Aurora's debut. That'll be that Saturday and Sunday. So you come to me on Sunday, you watch Aurora on Saturday. There you go.
Yes, absolutely. We love that. All right, let's do this.
Well, thank you all so much. You have a great evening, and I will see you all next time.